Good afternoon, everybody. It's 5 minutes to 3, or 3 minutes to 3, here in Moscow, and the last day of the semi-finals is about to start. We do know one of the finalists. It's Alexander Grishuk, who has taken down Hikaru Nakamura, and in the other semi-final, after 2 draws, the tie-break will be played. So Jan Nepomniachtchi and Radoslav Wojtaszek are getting ready for the rapid playoff. Once again, we can see the players' roster right from the start, and as we can see, Alexander Grishuk has won in classical games, while Nepomniachtchi and Wojtaszek tied their match 1-1, and Grishuk is waiting.
Yeah,
who's going to be
he's having a rest day today.
Right, so, well, for Grishuk it's in fact 2 rest days in a row, because tomorrow is the official free day of the tournament, the only one. And we, as commentators, we were kept busy every day. Every round there was at least one pair to go to a tie-break. Right, so the tie-break match today will consist of, first of all, 2 rapid games, 25 minutes plus 10 seconds. In case of a tie, 10 minutes plus 10 seconds, so shorten the time control, and again 2 games will be played. If this is 1-1, then 5 minutes plus 3, so almost a blitz, like a longish blitz. And if we get to this 7th game, the Armageddon game, we'll talk more in detail. I believe the drawing of lots for the color was made like 10 minutes before the start, so obviously
Wojtaszek starts with white.
Yeah, Wojtaszek will play with the white pieces, same as in yesterday's classical game. I'm wondering if the opening will be the same, because this opening yesterday looked, pardon me, but absolutely harmless. Jan had, well, little to no difficulties equalizing.
Yeah, but it's difficult to prepare against a player who plays this kind of openings like Najdorf and Grunwald. You're trying to find something which can lead to some, I mean, not well-known opening by your opponent.
Yeah, you just look for an opening surprise, absolutely. So 2 minutes before the start, and we have to think on how we will cast this, how we will commentate on this. I would offer the, like to split into educational part when they still have time, when the opening is played, so we will try to analyze like variety of moves and everything. But getting closer to the time control, there is no additional time.
I think it's better to focus on.
Yeah, it has to be kind of an emotional part, because I do believe that we will see some blunders, some twists of the plot, and let's see. However, it has to be said that 25 plus 10 is still good enough to play a game of a very good, high quality, right? And some of the tiebreak games, they were played on a very good level. Obviously, the shorter the time control becomes, the more human it is to make mistakes. An important notice on the regulations. I've discovered myself this fact only today, that in fact it's very, very important to try to win
at the
match in classical time control, because the tournament is the Grand Prix, so Grand Prix Series. And what you are fighting for in each tournament is, well, apart from the money prize pool, you do fight for the Grand Prix points. And it turns out that apart from, from the points you get according to the place you take by the end of the tournament, you do get 1 bonus point for each match that you won in classical time control. So in this regard, Wojtaszek is in a very good spot, because he has won both of his matches
in the classical part.
Yeah, so 2 bonus points he has already got.
And we should mention this special guest for today. It is Sergei Bykov, who made this D2, D4 move. So he's a former Russian basketball player, played for various clubs in Russia. Also, he was a European champion, probably in 2007, and now currently he is he's the main coach of Russian national team basketball, obviously.
Okay, so d4, knight f6, knight f3, g6. Will we see the Grunfeld? And the answer is no.
And again, e3.
Wojtaszek has played e3 one more time, so once again an anti-Gromfold setup with e3, bishop e2, very, very modest play. Let's see if Jan will repeat what was happening yesterday and if Wojtaszek is ready to bring us some surprises there.
It looks like he is trying to reach the same position as yesterday. I mean, if Jan proceeds with d6,
d6, knight bd7 and e5, that
almost the same might appear. But now, in this position, also c5 and d5 are the moves. But d6 is
d6.
Okay.
So far, it is exactly, it's played exactly the same way as yesterday,
and b3
and b3 was played. So that's something new.
But I mean, it's somewhat strange that Wojtaszek is trying to get out of theory so early. I mean, probably his most, his strongest feature of his, as a chess player is theory.
One would think that one of the strongest parts of his game is actually the opening preparation, but he thinks otherwise, or simply giving too much of a credit to Jan Nepomniachtchi's preparation. Yeah, I believe that's a good time to have the analysis board on the screen so that we can look at the moves that players are playing.
So knight c6 is played.
Yeah, okay, you can. I think we have to go a little bit back. Yeah, so that one e3, bishop e2. That's the setup that Wojtaszek used yesterday. d6.
So it's like reversed ratio, reversed kings Indian. Yeah, but b3 is very in a good positional move. I mean,
d3 to put the bishop on b2, and then this does allow an immediate e5. After d takes e5, black goes knight g4, uses the that's what happened. d5 knight to g4. So black.
I wonder the alternative was to play d takes e5 there.
A d5. Yes, you can do this. Think you can do this. d5. Not sure what exactly they do there.
a3
bishop a3,
rook e8,
rook e8, and perhaps knight c3, something like that.
Yeah, so the position is still playable, but it's completely different line. But Jan decides not to, receive the symmetrical structure with
so knight g4. The point is to take on e5 with the piece right after bishop b2, knight c6. Once again using the pin. c4, knight g takes to e5,
and then knight c3.
Knight c3, I believe, was played. Rook is on e8, so that means rook e8 was the move, and queen d2. Queen d2, you need to protect your b2 bishop.
Usually I thought that this pawn structure and this type of position is in slight favor of white, because we have the d5 square, which is called forepost or
outpost, an outpost on d5, which is the logic between this, the logic behind knight d5 is that it is a knight in the center which restricts black's possibilities, and if black plays c6, that's an usual reaction, right, to move the knight from c6 and then to play c7, c6 to drive the knight away. Then black is getting the backward pawn on d6. So that's very common that on the semi-open file, and d file is a semi-open file for white, the square in front of opponent's pawn, so the square on d5 might be and usually should be used as an outpost for your piece. Bishop g4, knight takes on e5, knight takes on e5, so something very similar to what we had yesterday.
But personally I don't like this exact position with black, because white's following plan is take on g4, knight g4, and try to trade the
bishop,
the black curled bishop,
d5,
securing some space advantage and having a very clear plan, while at the same time it's not so clear what to do there with black, because after trading the bishops, maybe f5 is an alternative, trying to at some point to restrict white's opportunities connected with playing rook e1 in the e4 or f3 e4. So but still,
if the bishop takes b2, queen takes b2, white already starts to have some threats, like h3.
I think we're almost forced to play c6.
Almost forced to play c6. Then the knight can go to f4. Then rook a d1,
or to c3
or to c3 simply. Then anyway, rook a d1, white doubles on d file, starts to.
I think there might be something forced, or otherwise black is just simply worse.
Wojtaszek decided to go f3, so keeping more pieces on the board.
Yes,
didn't take on g4. After bishop g4, knight e5, knight e5. Here, yeah, bishop g4 takes, and f3. So keeps the bishop.
That's also an idea.
Bishop to e6 was played.
Personally, I think white has something from the opening, because it's very typical in this kind of positions. Even training one pair of minor pieces, black doesn't solve all problems.
Like all of his problems, yeah. Well, the fact is, however, that I'm somewhat curious how white is supposed to continue. It's like, is it rook e1, bishop f1 or something? What for do you save the light square bishop? Because yes, usually it is advisable. You have the space advantage, and we arguably can say that white has some space advantage.
I think first of all we have to play e4, otherwise black will start with f5. Yeah, so I think e4 is played. So, and black's typical counterplay is connected with playing f5, or because like I don't believe some like queen h4 may work for black. I think it's just waste.
So c6 d5 is never gonna happen, right? I mean, white controls
almost
d5
everywhere.
square hundreds of times, right? Queen h4, well, it is a typical move, so with the idea to possibly to go bishop h6, you know, to try to bring some pieces towards white's king. So perhaps white has to be careful. But on the other hand, yeah, it's really hard to believe that this is going to work.
There might be something. Yeah, I mean, like. So
even though bishop h6 is a bit annoying, yeah. Well, Jan simply plays knight to c6 instead of queen h4. Knight to c6. Okay, so well, possibly knight will go to d4.
Okay, probably this is tricky, but okay, if I simply play knight d5.
Knight d5, yeah, that's a good question. So I assume black has to take on b2 and possibly takes on d5. And we are reaching one really tricky position, right? So well,
okay,
usually white is better.
It's better.
Usually white is better in such positions, right? So it's like without the minor pieces. I mean, you can, strangely enough, you can say.
By the way, the knight d5
knight d5 is played. Yeah. So without minor pieces, usually I believe black is able to defend. I mean, like putting the rook on e7 and then somehow they go f5, and the fact that in some position, once again, speculating on this, like you win my pawn, I activate the rook, and this might be like a drawing endgame.
It's not so bad.
Knight e5 perhaps,
yeah. The first
knight
glance.
e5. But still, it's
I think
I'm
not forced to play f4. I mean,
so bishop takes, queen takes, bishop d5.
Yeah, so
we are about
leading
to
the same position.
C takes, knight to e5. Yeah. So the question is how to play this one.
Okay, well,
properly.
let's check the most principled. Or okay,
knight
well,
to d7.
f4 move doesn't look
Knight to
so
d7
principled.
here, I'm not sure, because bishop f3, yeah, you have to play bishop f3, then black might to
maybe just a5 and
a5, yeah, but I thought maybe you want to play queen f6, particularly here, because I don't believe any endgame, to be honest. Knight takes, black just plays rook e7, or you go e5.
I think I remain
you go
some
e5,
advantage,
yeah.
And if rook e8, I just play king f2 or something like this.
But then I take on e5.
Ah, sorry. By the way, rook e8 is just
rook e8
winning
is annoying, yeah. And if there is no e5, it's like you will have to go rook e2.
Yeah, but knight d5. No, sorry.
Rook e2 is possible, yeah.
Rook e2, rook
e8. Rook e8, rook e1, and let's say black goes knight d7. And I'm not sure how realistic white's chances to break through are. It's like white is obviously better, but once again, I mean,
so I think just black has just a single weakness on c7. And that's it. It's not enough to have a sufficient advantage there. Yeah, I mean, like, I think that's. I mean, in all positions, it's a kind of rule that in the position with a lack of space, it's good for the side who has a lack of space to trade queens, and also the major pieces.
Okay, so what has happened, in fact?
Yeah, but c5.
knight takes... knight e5, rook ac1 was played.
Yeah.
Immediately pointing at this c7 pawn, and Jan plays c5.
Which is very logical.
That's very logical.
So d takes c6 is principal, but at the same time, now while we reach some Benoni structure, there might be some point in playing c5, knight d7, bishop e3. Because now d6 is not well protected as with pawn on c7.
Yeah, that's really an interesting question. I mean, how does this structure unfold if white doesn't take on c6? For instance, indeed, we go f4, knight goes, and bishop f3. And then, well, speculating on e4, e5 break, even if it cost us a pawn, right? Sometimes
because if queen f6 is not working, I think.
Because
okay, well, I thought, but now I started to rethink.
Well, you can take and go e5.
And what is the position
takes,
after?
Yeah, e5 takes, rook takes. And black is probably just fine with knight e8.
Yeah, so
knight e8 and then putting the knight to d6.
Maybe just better.
Yeah, I mean, if black is in time to put the knight on d6, he might be even better. Yeah, because that will be a fantastic outpost.
But Wojtaszek decided to play very
to take on c6, which
so not having any risk.
Yeah, like in a way, this is the most logical move. Rook f to d1, I assume.
I think so.
Wasn't played just yet, but seems the most logical. And those hanging pawns on c6 and d6, they do need attention.
And now it's time to look for some tactics. Maybe not the right one, but still. Yeah, rook fd1. Even there is no direct threat, it's not so easy to find a proper move with black, because I'm trying to look at the board and just don't know what to do. I mean, if I played black,
potentially a lot of unpleasant, a lot of possibilities to get various structures, and all of them will be unpleasant for black. Like, no, I mean, c5, you get the square on d5 for white rook, right? It's like, if there is a world that you go c5, knight c6, and knight d4, then maybe you're fine.
Even there.
And even there, sometimes white sacrifices an exchange on d4
putting
and
the bishop on d5.
Puts the bishop on d5, sacrifices an exchange on d4, and still is somewhat better.
Now c5 looks a bit awkward. I mean, at least because of, I think, bishop b5 first.
Or queen d2 first.
Forcing to play rook e7. Yes, because rook f8 is impossible because of... Yeah, so rook e6.
Not that I like the rook e6 movement.
Yeah, I mean, just more solid.
Because I'm afraid after rook e7, queen d2, you will have to play rook e7, e6. But then what? Then
maybe f4, bishop c6, and bishop d5. But it's a kind of fairy tale. Black might have something after
f4 and e5, yeah.
So unclear.
Yeah, the question is if white has to go for an unclear position, because he could play queen d2 once again there.
But if you want to win this, it's
it's like c5. You can just play queen d2.
There might be
e6, bishop c4 until the end of the game. It will be much better position for white.
Yeah, so rook
f to d1 is played. Rook f to d1 is played, and
I think check and rook a d8 maybe.
Yeah, perhaps that's more harmonious setup. Yeah, so check.
I started.
I'm wondering. Yeah, queen d4.
Yes.
What's queen d4? So say queen takes, rook takes, and is black in time to guard all of his stuff? Not really, right? f4, and rook takes c6. Yeah.
Or maybe
you can go c5 here. But it's still I have rook a4, rook d5 might be not bad. Rook d5, knight c6, bishop b5.
Yeah, right.
Bishop
obviously.
b5.
Okay, well, this one.
I'm not sure why exactly I went to d5, not to d1. Maybe a simple rook d1 was just better. Because the plan was to take on d6. Nevertheless,
I think it's just winning, because after bishop b5, I just played rook d6 next move.
Knight d4 is theoretically
you mean like
possible. No, knight d4 immediately. No, immediately.
Sorry.
Yeah, knight d4 immediately. But it still looks pretty bad.
I think no, or it's not. I wanted to trap the knight, but there is a2 pawn, which...
So the point being that after bishop e8, black of course has a check on e2. King f1 and goes here. But even in this position,
yes,
I
but
believe
a2
like
pawn
bishop somewhere and then e5.
e5, you mean it's still better?
Bishop
I think c6.
c6 for instance.
No,
yeah, if knight takes...
The problem that anywhere where I go with the bishop, there is knight a2 or knight b4 or knight c3.
Right, so, well, if we want to make this variation work for white, then after c5, on move 23, we have to go rook back to d1, and I believe this is much better. So now, knight c6, bishop b5, knight d4, white takes the rook, and after check and knight c1, white is just up a pawn. After bishop f7, rook takes c1, and there should be no problem to convert it, because rook c4 as well.
Yeah, so...
already some unpleasant...
Vaitajik has received an advantage.
Some unpleasant lines are possible. And I think, well, Jan has played a move. So try to update it, because I don't really see what has happened, but it feels like Jan has played a move.
But
no,
rook
not
f1
yet. Not yet.
Jan is still thinking.
Yeah, still black is thinking. Yeah, one of your main worries is f4, right? After which both pawns will be hanging. So could it be that black has to play queen f6 with somewhat naive threat of taking on f3?
Yeah, so I think king h1 is
king h1
a useful move.
Okay, and then rook a to d8, for example. Since there is no f4 in the nearest future, maybe black can hold it for quite a bit.
And then probably d5 is...
Yeah, d5 is one thing. The other idea could be to go g6, g5, just to, you know, to make sure that the knight on e5 is very stable. So therefore, by the way, after queen f6, I might consider queen d2, which is more of a tempo move, you know. And then here f4 would be critical. I mean, I'm not saying it's good, but it might be good as well. Yeah, what to do? Knight d7, rook takes c6, yeah, or queen d6 for this meta. Or rook c6. Yeah, rook c6 might be just winning, because e5 is a threat, and rook d6.
Yeah, so after knight c5, probably e5 is just crushing.
E5 was the plan. Yeah. So Jan might be in a bit of a trouble here, straight from the opening, I would say. Well, once again, queen f6 could be not the best move.
Yes, but as I mentioned before, that these positions usually are just in favor of white. I mean, I didn't see any reason to play this exact position, because it's very stable for white, almost no tactics. White has a clear plan, and just mathematically it's better. So, okay, I'm not blaming Jan for the opening decision, but looks like he did something wrong.
Yeah, it might have been. And once again, speaking of what is special about this 25 plus 10 time control, it's like you want to play the opening really precise in order not to get the position that we think Jan is getting into, but at the same time you have to control the clock as well, because if you out of the opening with decent position but you are left with 10 seconds per move, that's once again not a great spot to be in. Queen to e7, so not a check on b6, not queen f6, but queen to e7.
It's kind of provoking the f4 move.
So f4 is possible, right? Knight goes to d7 in this case, and it looks like black is fine, yeah?
So for example, if I take on c6...
Takes on c6, queen e4, bishop f3... wait a sec, yeah. So this, bishop f3, now if queen f4... rook d6, right? And then the rook on a8 is hanging, as well as the knight on d7. Or it could be that the knight on d7 is not hanging for real. If you give a check first on e3, well, there is always queen f2. Yeah.
So probably it's just bad.
There is always queen f2. Wait, but what to do for Jan then? f4 and rook c6.
Okay, well, starting from knight c5 and confirming that will be pawned down, it's not a good decision.
Well,
I think instead of queen e7 there might have been something else. I mean, at least not losing the material immediately.
Still, if he goes knight c5 here, maybe it's not all that bad.
Like, you mean it's playable?
Rook c takes d6, I suppose, right? Knight to e4. And white even has rook d7, yeah? Queen c5 check and queen d4, and I don't see... I know, but then I don't have a rook to take with, interestingly. Queen takes, and what do I do?
Queen takes, I have to take with this rook.
d1 to d4, after knight f6, I'm going bishop f3. Ah, that's right. And white is a pawn up.
Yeah.
White is a pawn up. So in case of knight d7, white is in time to take on a8. So even this looks possible.
It's very, very tricky. And probably, I think Wojtaszek just maybe tries not to consider this kind of opportunities because they're leading to very unclear positions the first side, and also the factor of time is very sufficient in this game.
Wait. So if
yeah, queen e7, f4.
By the way, can I play it? Yeah, like f4 is forcing, and so far we think it is good, right? Rook takes c6, queen e4. One more time. How was it? Rook takes. No, we were starting with bishop f3,
yeah.
Right? Yeah. So check doesn't really help. If you give a check on e3, white goes queen f2.
Just bad.
Yeah, you lose the d6 pawn. The bishop is better than a knight. That's really looks really bad.
Yeah. So it's not queen e3, then queen f4.
Queen takes f4, rook d6, but then I don't really see
more or less forced.
What to do there. Because after rook d8, I mean, first of all, that's a good chance that white will be able to take. But even if not, he can go queen d2, and the spin will stay there forever.
Yeah, but I think even...
Yeah, rook d7, rook takes. I wasn't certain about this. Yeah, rook takes, check on e1.
Check on e1.
Check on e1, king f2. And now, queen h4 works for black, it seems. g3 takes on h2, bishop g2, queen g1. This should work for black. Queen g1, queen e3,
yeah, so
h5,
yeah.
and so on. Yeah,
right.
Black should be. Even there, I wasn't sure. Yeah, but what I'm trying to say that white doesn't need all this mess. He can go queen d2, another positional move, right? Now threatening to take on d7.
Probably just,
that's probably just winning.
Yeah, so queen d2 is very technical.
Wojtaszek did play f4, it seems. After queen e7.
Yeah, I think, yeah, but he played bishop f3.
He has played bishop f3, which is...
Yeah, okay, well,
not a bad move.
Maybe let's try to rethink why he didn't take on c6.
We are still not certain what would have happened in case of rook takes c6.
So, well, I take, for example, black takes.
Yeah, black takes bishop f3. I think this line we've more or less analyzed.
Yeah, I think that there is no sense in starting with knight f6.
Might be like, moving to c5 or f6. That's like another.
Okay, well, knight c5.
Knight c5, yeah.
Maybe Wojtaszek was afraid of this line, like.
Rook takes, yes. Knight e4, rook d7. One more time. So, well, here, what's the material? It's a pawn up for white, right?
So black has to
could it be that you go queen h4? No, queen h4, there is always bishop c4, yeah?
Yeah.
And then white is first to start attacking. Yeah, it's like, I thought queen h4, then g3, you can take on g3, but bishop c4 looks really dangerous.
That's true.
You have to play a move like rook f8 or rook e7, and after that, yes, maybe white's attack is not that scary, but white as well is pawn up.
Yeah.
So So that's not what you want with black. And if not queen h4, then after rook d7, I'm not really sure what black is supposed to do. Because in our line, after check on c5, it was working for white, yeah? Check on c5, queen d4, takes and rook takes. Rook d1 takes, obviously.
Maybe there is some tactics.
Honestly, I don't see any. I don't see any. Looks much better for white. Knight back to c5 and then bishop f3 or knight f6.
Okay, well, the rook endgames are just worse. I mean,
knight g3. There is no rook endgame, I'm afraid, because
no, okay,
bishop c4 is
yeah, but
possible.
I wanted to play
king f2.
Ah, you mean just you take
knight
f7?
d4, bishop f7. Yeah, I mean this is not the kind of rook endgame you want to be in, because this looks like
just
terrible.
losing. Yeah,
this looks terrible.
Losing another pawn.
Okay, so bishop f3 was played in our game. Knight goes to c5. That looks less scary for black, right? Because, well, e5. e5 is a serious move. D takes e5, bishop c6, extra exchange, right? With possible compensation for black, that's already on the board. e5, d5. Yeah, so white can take on c6.
So what is the idea of?
Maybe there is no idea.
Just lost.
Maybe it's just lost because I kind of thought that possibly he wanted to play e4, but this just doesn't work at all. e4, white takes on a8.
In many ways.
In many ways, yeah, like takes on a8, rook a8, queen a3.
Wins I think queen everywhere, yeah, queen a3.
Yeah, queen a3 wins the knight because it's a pin, and then rook d5 to follow in case of rook c8. So bishop a8, like knight d3 in this moment. I mean, I find it really difficult to believe that something like that is going to work. Knight d3.
Yeah, but I think something simple might be. So the refutation might be very simple.
Point being that if rook takes, pawn takes,
yeah, so
the bishop is hanging, and after bishop
not
f3,
so clear. There is some checks.
Check on e3 is very annoying. King f1, d2, and it's black who is winning with queen e1 idea. Perhaps that's the whole point.
I personally don't believe, and I still think that.
Yeah, there should be something for white. I mean, bishop a8 was by no means forced after e4, right? Bishop c6, e4. White was not forced to take on a8. Maybe there is.
Maybe I can simply start with
queen a3 actually puts an end to this story, I believe, because white will end up being up a piece simply.
Yeah.
He's threatening to take on c5 after knight d3. He trades the queens and then takes on a8.
Yeah. So
really mysterious game. I mean, it's very hard to say what exactly went wrong.
Look like Jan just losing to himself.
Jan looks helpless. Absolutely, it's like
And really, in this game, Wojtaszek didn't do anything extraordinary. I mean, he just played.
Yeah, that looks so easy. You just
a regular game, and
you just go to d5. F4,
okay, well,
bishop f3, like not forcing yourself to calculate anything. Simply pushing your stuff forward and then collecting
not taking in mind that this is rapid chess, but comparing, for example, to the game that yesterday Grishuk played against Nakamura. I mean, the value of the victory. Wojtaszek wins the game against Nepomniachtchi, while Nepomniachtchi just he tries to lose to himself, I suppose. But yesterday Grishuk made a masterpiece. I mean, the two different ways how to win the game. I mean, the first way, you're forcing your opponent to lose to himself. The second way, you're playing a brilliant game. And I think that there is no anything, in the middle.
Interestingly, talking of this Grishuk's game yesterday, I've seen somewhere on Facebook, I mean, I'm not sure if it's like 100% true, but someone claimed that at the same time when Grishuk and Nakamura were playing the game, there was a game between two computers with the same position.
Wow.
With the same position, with this pawn sacrifice line and knight c4, and computers did make draw in that. And once again, talking of how those positions which are mathematically equal are unpleasant to play for one of the sides. And this one I don't believe is mathematically equal. It must be much, much better for white. Wojtaszek, however, spends quite some time here.
Okay, well, the one maybe after bishop c6, e takes
f4.
But if you just look at the position, it's obvious that white has just
really, really hard to believe. Okay, bishop a8.
Yeah, and queen d4, I think, or queen somewhere.
No, but this should be just winning. Yeah. No, I thought the whole point was to try to jump with. Yeah, but queen e3. It's always queen f2 in such positions. Yeah. Yeah, so there is
probably
there is nothing. You have to take the bishop. Yeah, just so instead of taking the bishop, like if you can try some queen e3, and if white for some reason chooses to go king f1, then maybe knight d3, and you're jumping around and you know. But yeah, but there is always queen f2. Yeah. There is always queen f2.
Yeah, so
just an extra exchange. Yeah, takes and. Well, the game will be played, of course, right? It's not like black resigns immediately. Queen d4, queen, don't know, d6 or d7 maybe.
I like e5 square.
Queen e5 is good. Yeah. Yes,
so queen d7 controlling the open files. And what is it? But by the way, what is the plan? Playing rook d6, rook d1, and envy to the 7th rank, or
pushing the queen side in some way.
It's just impossible to stay in this position for black. I mean. Okay, why are we analyzing this? I mean, I don't know.
Let's see. Well,
maybe we're overlooking something very simple, and I think
d takes e5.
Wojtaszek may ask himself. I mean, what is the point of black's game? But Jan looks not so optimistic.
Yeah, right. I do understand why Wojtaszek is thinking, because it looks too easy indeed.
Yes, and sometimes you just don't believe that it might be.
Well, so me easy. Winning against Nepo in such an easy way, I spent like whole night preparing for this tiebreak, and I'm winning after 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
Well, is he seriously looking for alternatives? Because I think I have found one. Queen takes e5, no? No, then black takes twice, yeah. Black takes twice. And white is better in this endgame, but you don't
now
really
it becomes
want
playable.
Now it becomes playable, yeah, because I thought maybe there is like an even easier alternative, and that's why Wojtaszek is thinking. No,
the first move to consider is bishop c6, obviously.
Bishop c6, yeah. And once again, how was it? e4? And then we said queen a3, right?
Yeah, maybe that's strongest.
The final touch was queen
but sometimes
a3.
it's just easier to go to the position and then to think, I don't know what he spends.
Wait a sec. Rook a to d8. What do we play here?
Okay, well,
then we take the rook. Yeah, then we take the rook. No, I mean it is hopeless. It is hopeless.
So d takes e5 is on the board, and
Wojtaszek has spent already considerable amount of time.
Wojtaszek tries to realize. Is it happening with me? Like,
is it me having such a great position? Well, if he spends, like some 10 minutes more here,
then Nepo will start to find some tricks.
Nepo might find some tricks. Yeah, even though position is completely winning, at least in the lines that we were looking at. But yeah, that one with e takes f4, putting the knight on e6. Well, you will still have to show some technique.
But I think the whole opening was a bit impulsive by Jan, because like you have a normal pawn structure, and then you're creating the outpost on d5 for white, then trading the black colored bishops.
Takes Bishop g. Yeah.
I mean, I think in this position it's better to save as many minor pieces as we can, and then after, I think rook e8 is. I can't say might be wrong, but maybe it was better to play f5.
Look, queen takes e5.
Wow.
What's going on? What's going on? Because
okay, well, I mean, are we so? I mean, like
apparently
blind?
we missed something, but I don't know what really. Because this seems doesn't make sense to me.
Okay,
honestly.
just once again, like
this doesn't make sense.
Additional 30
Bishop
seconds
c6,
to this position.
Yeah. So what kind of a move
Okay,
you can be
some knight jumps, no knight jumps.
scared there? Knight jumps, you take the rook you like. Yeah.
Yeah.
Queen doesn't really move. If one rook is moved, you take the other rook. So it seems to be a very simple math. So it's like e4 and possibly queen a3 is something you have to
if
see.
If we could look at Jan's face, we would read what he thinks about this position, because I think he might be shocked with queen e5. Because
I'm definitely shocked with queen e5.
I mean, before it, we saw that he's very upset of the position and just hardly trying not to show to the opponent. But then he plays queen e5.
I'm really shocked with queen e5
Okay, well, now Jan feels
because
that
this is okay. This is better for white, right? 2 versus 1 on the queen side, bishop versus knight. This is better for white.
Okay,
but
well,
that's the game.
With the pair of rooks, is just
still
very,
the game.
clear.
That's playable. That's still playable. While the line we were looking at was
it may just
like
end immediately.
winning for, well, unless I believe, unless we miss something huge, which I don't see what, takes.
Shocking.
So e4 once again. I mean, that's perhaps the only like real counterplay. And then we said queen a3, because if bishop takes on a8, then some knight d3 starts, but queen a3. And I don't see a move, to be honest. Right? So the knight is attacked. If the knight goes to d3, you just take e7, and then take the rook on a8.
It's just
up a
shocking.
piece.
I can't understand at all.
Because now we have the game all of a sudden.
Okay, well, like you can play queen knight b7 there, but it really doesn't change anything. I think there might be something.
Well, maybe he's holding the like that. Knight b7, yeah, this one we've missed, right?
Can we try to take the piece? I mean, like playing queen a6, like
queen
rook.
a6.
Yeah, but knight b6.
You have to.
No, sorry.
No, but the exchange is hanging, so then it is winning anyway. Yeah, knight c5 back.
Like, okay, we shouldn't consider this kind of move.
This rook d7.
Yeah, knight c5 back,
Knight
and
c5
and then something like this, for example.
Queen b5, knight d3 again. Strangely, he's still jumping. He's still jumping.
So was it a refutation? E4.
Weird.
Okay, well, bishop 6, e4. If I take,
I thought knight d3.
or maybe it's still better to start with taking on e8. I mean, at some point, black will need to waste the time before playing rook e8.
So to take on e8 in this position.
The idea was that if rook e8, I still play queen a3.
You have queen a3. So knight d3 is the move black has to play. You capture on d3,
Yeah, but
I suppose.
okay, well, at least, I mean, I can take on f7 almost anywhere. But
and be better.
Yeah.
Yeah. Be up a pawn. Once again, yeah, that's...
But moreover... No, okay, well, queen c2, rook e8 is a bit unclear.
You can try to take on d3.
Yeah, I can... yes, maybe that's the point, because the rook is still on a8.
And then to put the bishop somewhere like c6.
Very precise.
c6 maybe?
Rook c8. Okay, well, there might be something.
c8, queen d2, I guess. Alright, so we are getting carried away. We still believe that this line was much more promising for Wojtaszek.
Just play bishop c6 and then look.
Okay, so d5, queen e5. That's the current position, so a lot of stuff has happened.
Queen e5.
Queen e5, exchanged there. Bishop c6, rook b8 was played. Rook to d5. Exchange happened, and the knight goes to a6, and I believe later on to b4. White is still much better, I have to say, with those two pawns on the queen side. Yeah,
the knight is restricted a bit.
Still very, very tough position. a3. Nice little move, stopping knight b4.
Very, very intelligent. Yeah, so b4 is coming.
b4, yeah, the knight will be...
And if you imagine that we'll trade the rooks, I think that position will be very, very hard for black. I think just losing.
Rook d8 was played.
Maybe
might be hard with rooks as well. Yeah, bishop to c4 and not clear what to do, right? Bishop
yeah, but by the way, can I trade the rooks?
Like this?
Yes, if knight b8 I play rook c8. If rook d6 I'll try to play rook c6. As I said that we need to trade the rooks if we are playing on win with white. And at the same time black has to avoid the trade.
Is it so clear though? Like a take, go knight c7, try to bring the king over. Yeah, I do understand it. It's a bad position, supposed to be a bad position, but maybe black still can put up some fight.
Okay, well,
bishop to b7 is on the board. Well, the thing is, after rook d6, I'm not even forced to go rook c6 immediately,
so there is
because yeah, it's like black is practically not moving if I'm playing a move like b3, b4, for instance.
Yeah, but I saw that at some point I'll try to distract.
Bishop d5. Or check first and bishop d5. Yeah, it's such a dominant position.
The position is awful.
Yeah, it's like such a dominant position for all pieces.
Maybe after queen e5, f takes e5, rook e5, bishop c6, that was a very, very important moment. I mean, so Nepomniachtchi didn't play rook c8 probably because of rook d5, I guess.
Well, bishop d5 was also sort of disturbing,
no,
but maybe rook d5 is just
maybe there is something like this.
Knight b3. Okay. Yeah, that's cute little tactic.
Yeah, but rook c8 is
bishop d5. You have.
So you're trying to do the same.
Well, the threat is b4.
Yeah, well, I have to play something like this.
And then say b4.
Okay, well,
knight goes.
I'm okay with giving up a pawn.
Takes on c7, bishop b3. That's what I thought. Yeah.
Okay, but that's a different position. The rook is on e5. Or maybe there is...
Well, it's like white threatens rook d7, yeah, so you have to go back.
So I still have to be passive. Yeah, the position is just...
Yeah, that one... Yeah, you
anywhere
you do play it, you're not resigning. I mean, it's like not... maybe not even completely lost, but that's not the position you want to play.
Well, so let's check the position on the board, and bishop b7
Bishop b7, the knight is hanging. As we said, rook b8 might be met with rook c8. That's one of the ways to increase your advantage, yeah. Rook d6. Yeah, perhaps rook c6 the most straightforward, but b4 also looks quite strong.
Can I try to do something like this? I mean, is it winning for white?
Yeah. Bishop d5 takes, rook c7, rook f4, and takes on a7.
Sorry. Yeah, so...
Knight b8 was played. You mean...
Okay, well...
Yeah, we can describe this, or let's show it. Let's show it once again. b4 takes, rook b6, bishop to d5, takes, rook c7, rook f4, and rook takes a7. This is not easy to win, but it is winning, as far as I know.
Okay, well, I have to play h5.
Yeah, and white's plan is, okay, you go g3.
So then you start to push.
You bring the king to d4, you bring the pawn to g5, and then you take everything on f7.
Yeah, right.
Okay, that's what I know about such positions. It's a long-term plan. It's not easy to... I have to say that once in my career I didn't win such positions. Since that I had everything analyzed. It does look winning, but yeah, some technique required, of course. King f2 after knight b8, so not in rush to... white is not in rush to actually win material or trade the rooks. So it was b4, king g7, king f2, and rook d3. So Jan is trying to activate the rook.
I think king f2 was an inaccurate move. Because at some point you will still need to trade the rooks, but why not to do it immediately? I think it's obvious that the position after trading the rooks will be difficult for black.
Wait a sec, rook c8 here.
Okay. So knight
d7,
d7
rook d8.
You mean like it's still the same?
I want to go bishop c6, and yeah, king f6, bishop c6. I'm not sure of this endgame if I trade everything,
Yes,
which I should do already.
Okay,
yep.
we can
takes,
check it.
takes, and king goes.
Okay, so I have to go king c. No, wait a minute.
That's tricky once again.
Looks like
Yeah, I suspect white
has
should be winning.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's tricky again. So the task is obvious, right? So to create a passed pawn on
yeah, then go to the king
the
side.
queen
and
side, and then yeah.
eat as many as white can. Yes, so
This might be the trick.
maybe
White is
we'll see
looking
something
for.
like this.
Because if not this, then he has to start moving his pawns, like a4,
Yeah.
right? Black possibly puts the rook behind those pawns, like rook to b3, rook to b4, starts annoying white quite a bit. I'm still puzzled, why not bishop c6, why not?
Yeah,
Okay,
rook c7.
Rook to c7. Rook to c7.
The idea that rook e3, bishop d5, and we're kind of changing directions.
Yeah, but it might be too soft, to be honest. I mean, okay, you do take on f7. Yeah, rook a3.
Yeah, but the
I
problem
believe
that knight is restricted.
you need to take. Yeah.
The knight is just once.
Knight a6. Then you take
check on
f7 and
a7.
a7.
And there is no checks at all.
Because if you take in the other order, I believe it's a draw, right?
Knight
Knight
before
a6.
knight
If rook takes a7, then yeah. Then
So
black can take.
It's important to take there first, and then
rook
yeah.
a7, and white is completely winning. While if you take the a7 pawn first, then knight b4, and this position exchange down should be holdable for black.
So
Okay, so how do I do it?
bishop d5.
You mean it's so
Well,
bad?
okay, I can't
Some
say.
rook a4,
or
I
even
still believe-
even rook d3 back.
Yeah, but my point was that it's not that comfortable for you to take. Like I go rook a4, and what do you do?
Well, I have.
I mean,
to
you take on
with the
f7
rook.
with a check, king goes to h6, obviously.
Yeah, but
Rook b7, and once again, my knight a6, you just take the pawn on a7. Jan has taken on a3, right? Bishop d5, and your rook d3 move was played. Okay, attacking the bishop, chasing the bishop all the time.
Yeah, sorry.
Rook,
yeah,
rook takes
c7.
a3, bishop to d5, rook d3. So now white has to take.
With?
That's a good
That's
question.
Because I've still seen it even after bishop f7, rook d7, rook trade, and just bishop goes back.
White is better, yeah.
Yeah, obviously white is better, and I think there's still some chances to win the game.
Rook f7 check was played, king immediately goes to h6.
But comparing to the position that was like 10 moves earlier, looks like white have wasted a part of advantage.
It's not that, let's say it's not that far, not all that many factors in white's favor, right? I mean, okay, his pieces are much better, but
Yeah.
if this knight from b8 somehow jumps into game, then black is just fine. While before that, when we only got to this endgame, white had practically everything.
Yeah.
Like the bishop was stronger than a knight, the rook was more active, and then
So yeah,
there's
they had a
potential to have a passed pawn on the queen side was massive as well.
plenty of options, but
Rook f7, king h6. So what to do now? Where the bishop is going? Could it be that he's just gonna create some mating threats?
okay, let's check.
Bishop f3 or e4?
Bishop e4, rook d4.
Bishop e4, rook d4. King e3, you take on b4 and then some h4 followed by g4. Hard to believe, right? But yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Let's go bishop f3. Let's go bishop f3. How's I mean, what's black is doing?
Okay, well, knight d7 probably.
Knight d7.
So all the time I think I can give the a pawn. Yeah. So I think now black more or less have stabilized.
Looks decent. Looks decent for black. And I'm not sure if there is. Yeah, bishop e4 is the move with the tempo.
It's very strange that like before Radek had plenty of opportunities, and now we started to consider bishop e4, which is connected with some risk, while there were no risk needed at all. I mean, like
bishop c4. Okay, rook d4. I assume it's gonna be rook c7.
Yeah, I think so. And then probably something like bishop g8. Yeah, but then knight d7 comes.
Knight d7, knight gets to f6. I believe black is fine. I mean, he will always attack either the bishop or the pawn on.
Okay, well.
You can go king e3 maybe. Maybe that's unpleasant. And then just take the a7 pawn.
You mean just
to take a7 pawn, so it is still a pawn up for white.
Bishop c4.
Bishop c4.
If you play rook c3,
can go rook
like
c3.
cutting the king on the third rank. Sorry. And bishop rook c3.
So now rook c7 is not a good move because black has knight a6. The bishop will be pinned. Not easy. Not easy. And yes, Jan is known to, sometimes to save like really bad positions. Yeah, but here partly it's on Wojtaszek's side. It's his responsibility not to take on c6.
Yeah.
Still, we believe that move was winning. So he decided to go for that, which seems to be like a safe advantage without queens. But
yes, but it's almost impossible to believe that Wojtaszek didn't on c6 because, like, he didn't see something forced, but intuitively or just, I mean, he decided not to calculate anything and just not to try to find another way to convert.
Alright, so rook d2. Jan comes up with the third move, the one that we didn't consider. Okay, fine, give a check. Kind of asking where the king is going, because not that many of comfortable squares. If you go king e3, I assume black just takes the pawn.
Yeah, I think so.
If you go bishop e2, knight is ready to jump to c6. It's like practically in after any other move than king e3, black goes knight c6, threatening knight e5 as well as knight b4. So it looks like black is out of the woods. So king e3 perhaps you have to try.
Radoslav, I think, he just realized that he lost his control over
nearly everything.
Yeah.
Wait, king e3. Maybe we still can try to play king e3. Rook takes g2, and we go b5, and we hope to go rook b7 and to trap the knight. But even even rook c2 and then rook c8 defending. No, rook c2. There is king d3.
It's not so clear.
King e3 played, rook takes g2.
And b5, yeah, probably.
Yeah, b5 looks like the only chance, otherwise the knight simply escapes from the corner.
By the way, may I try something like...
Yeah, a6 I was thinking about.
b6?
Yeah, b6 is, to me it looks like the only try to play for a win, because b takes knight a6.
Sorry, yeah.
Knight a6 immediately. Just eliminate the pawn and then take on h2.
Okay, well.
So b6 looks like the only try, and then you can put the rook behind.
Yeah. I think it's just more or less the same because, like, after b7, knight c6,
You should be able to give this knight, right?
Bishop yeah, so well, I have like knight d8, I have knight a5.
Yeah, knight d8 perhaps just makes draw. Knight d8, then take on b7, like then take on h2.
Yeah, rook f2 and just check.
Rook f2, you have a check.
Yeah.
Or rook b6 as well.
Yeah, that's not so.
So now it looks like Jan is going to escape, and that's, well, a really, really lucky result for him.
Well, I can say it lucky because
yeah, he was fighting.
Wojtaszek was, I mean, the only player at the board, because first of all he made his position being winning, and then he spoiled his chance.
Yeah, but once again, yeah, Jan. I mean, it's clear that for Jan Nepomniachtchi the opening went terribly wrong. I mean, if after 20 moves your opponent is to choose to play just a much better endgame or the position exchange up, which we consider to be winning. So apparently something went wrong in the opening for Jan, and he was surprisingly given a second chance by his opponent, Radoslav Wojtaszek, and that, at least to me, it looks like this makes Jan a big favorite in the second game.
Yeah, psychologically.
Psychologically, yeah.
Yes, that would be an important factor.
Okay, down to seconds. Radoslav Wojtaszek, 40 seconds left. No clear path I can see right now. B5, of course,
yeah,
is played,
and
A6 immediately. And that might have been the move that you miss, right? A6. And white cannot really win the piece, not giving away all of his pawns.
Yeah, but there is not so many moves to calculate. But you know what? Yeah, but I wanted to try. No, the fact that rook g2 was very important. I want, if just imagine we have an extra pawn somewhere on g3, we could have played rook f2, because if black takes and
a b5,
yeah,
bishop b5. All right, so
yeah, so
what has happened? White simply takes on a6, knight takes, bishop takes, rook h2, and Wojtaszek decided not to try to play this position. Yes, sometimes rook and bishop win against the rook, but first of all, Nepomniachtchi normally knows how to defend it, and secondly, black still has those two pawns, h7, g6, which are not easy to take. So to save his time, our time, to save the mental energy, Wojtaszek simply offered the draw. I believe he is disappointed with this result. We still don't know what would have happened in case of bishop c6. I believe white was much, much better. So rather quick first game, and I believe there will be 10 minutes break between the games. That used to be in previous tiebreaks. I don't see why it has to be different here, so about 10 minutes, and the second game with colors reversed, with Jan Nepomniachtchi having white, will be played. Don't go anywhere, so we'll be back shortly. Welcome back, everyone. Less than a minute before the start of the second game of the tiebreak. We are still puzzled with game one. It went terribly wrong for Jan Nepomniachtchi. I believe his position was lost at some point. He managed to save, so obviously very optimistic now going into his white pieces game. So let's see what's going to happen. Last time, that was day before yesterday when they played with the same color, it seemed to us that Jan has got some advantage. I'm talking about classical game one. As you can see, so far 3 draws between those two players. So Jan got some advantage, and then all of a sudden he made a move, offered a draw in the position, which seemed to be advantageous for him.
I think we should mention that fact that in all games Jan was pressing on clock, and I think if, for example, in this game the position would be like around equal, but Jan will have more time and Radoslav will be in some kind of time trouble, I think it could be a chance for him.
Yeah, absolutely. So in rapid chess, controlling the clock is very, very important. So no knight of defense now. Bishop b5 check, knight to d7 and d4 was played. So not repeating Swidler's game where it was castle and then bishop d3 after a6. So check, knight d7, d4, exchange on d4, a6, bishop takes, all that is known. Knight to c3, not messing around with c4, not trying to play Maroczy.
Knight c3 is more clever.
Knight c3, so all those classical lines with... no, it's not that one. No, I thought there was something with bishop g5, you know, and castling long, but it's not here, right?
If I remember
E5,
correctly, this exact variation
Queen d3
occurred, I mean, in tie-break between Wojtaszek and Najdic. Obviously, Najdic was playing white against Wojtaszek, who played black in Isle of Man last year. And
so Queen to d3.
The first game was, the first game Wojtaszek won against Najdic, and Najdic made some kind of a comeback, and in Armageddon, Wojtaszek managed to win the trophy of Isle of Man tournament.
So rook c8, and I think we had something like that in our tournament already. So was it Wei against Nepomniachtchi? I mean, this knight from f3 went to d2, c4, e3, something like that we had.
Yeah, maybe he can start with a4.
Rook to c8. Jan, I believe, has already played his move. Yeah, I mean, from a camera view, I can see that the clock of Radoslav Wojtaszek is active. Castle short, yeah, no surprises here.
From
Castle short. So the question is if it's h6 or knight f6, right? Because sometimes you want to play h6 first, just not to allow bishop g5 pin.
That's why after knight
f6, bishop g5. And it is in fact somewhat annoying because first of all, bishop e7 is really awkward. White takes and you cannot take back, or you can, but you'll be a pawn down, right? So that's definitely not the position you want. So you perhaps start with h7, h6, but it gives white another tempo to improve the position of his pieces. Well, h6 is played, knight d2
A4
or a4 first to stop the advance of the b pawn. But essentially, what white wants is to regroup his pieces. Yeah, knight to d2. Case of bishop e7, I believe it's knight c4. Bishop e6, knight goes to e3, controlling d5 square, and then b3, bishop to b2 or a3, something like that. Yeah, the knight will go to d5 or f5 sometimes. So that's usually a white strategic idea in this position.
Yeah, well, also knight d2 is played without a4.
Yeah, so knight d2.
h6,
castles h6, knight d2, and queen to c7. So trying to stop white from going knight c4.
The knight has another route. It can go from
via f1. Yeah, so rook d1, knight to or e1. Yeah, knight f6.
Maybe rook d1 is at least with some part of sense. I mean,
knight f6, I guess, right?
Yeah, well, knight f1.
Knight f1.
Just regular moves.
Bishop e7, knight e3. Well, h3 played by Jan, and that is somewhat puzzling, to be honest. Why would you play h3 precisely in this position? The feeling is like he is waiting for something, or maybe it's just a move. Yeah, sometimes you don't have to look for, I mean, for very deep sense in bishop e7, rook to d1. Then, well, could it be that some bishop g4s were annoying? I don't know, to be honest. Rook d1, but the plan is still such that the knight goes to f1 and then e3. I believe good time for black to castle short. Good time for black to castle short, and then knight f1 will be played.
Okay, well, even if computer may evaluate this as equal, it seems to me that it's easier to play this position with white because just
strategically you know what you're doing. You have to get to d5 square.
I mean, I wouldn't say that it's easier to play this position with white, while it's easier to blunder something with black.
Yeah, we can say so. So castle short. White, doesn't have another option but to play knight f1. And now, for instance, queen c4 perhaps does not give full equality, right?
You mean like the all endgames will be in favor of white? But I think queen c4 is one of the ideas that I've also analyzed.
It really depends, I believe, on the evaluation of queen takes, rook takes, knight e3, and then if the exchange sacrifice works.
But there, I guess, also some rook d4 ideas should be considered.
It's like rook d4.
And I think it was the point in some kind of analysis. Yeah, but Wojtaszek decided to play queen c5 because
knight f1. Wait a sec. Queen. How was it? Was it bishop e6 first, knight e3, queen c5, or other way around?
Okay, I can do something like this.
Yeah, bishop e6.
So it was bishop e6,
logical.
Knight e3.
Yeah, knight e3, and then queen to c5.
But after knight f1, it was an only opportunity where we can play queen c4. So
queen c5, so kind of controlling the d5 square one more time, making sure that.
Yeah, but now the white's following plan is to play bishop d2, and then bishop e1 somewhere, I think.
Bishop d2.
Bishop e1, then probably king goes somewhere.
Wait, the moment you play bishop d2, can I go bishop d8? Because d6 is not hanging.
I think you can.
d6 is not hanging, and
well, I have something. Okay, if queen e2 is played.
Queen e2 is played.
The idea was that after bishop d8, I was still thinking about a5 all of a sudden. The point that if you take
bishop a5,
I thought that there might be something like knight d5, or maybe I'm just wrong.
So knight a4 doesn't give you anything, I suppose. Queen c7,
or maybe
knight d5 is an interesting try.
Maybe you just have to
bishop d2. I have to play bishop d2.
Or probably you just have this kind of move.
Could be that bishop d8 is possible. Then black is perfectly fine. Yeah, bishop b4. You just go back to c6.
Yeah, so it was an idea, obviously. So that's why probably just knows
queen
this
e2.
kind of ideas.
Okay. Still, bishop d8 should be at least also considered. Yeah, bishop d8 was played. Yeah, it's like you want to bring it to b6 or a5 to add some pressure on white's queen side. And white is tiny bit not in time, right? Because what you want to do, you want to jump to d5 and then capture with the pieces.
Yeah.
Like to maintain.
Not well protected.
Yeah,
that's why.
So kind of to maintain the outpost on d5. Yeah, but indeed, when you go knight c d5, black takes, and when you take with the knight, c2 pawn is hanging. Queen f3.
I think also if we wanted to play knight d5, we would start with knight e, because the e4 pawn is also hanging. Yeah, so
queen f3, and I assume in case of bishop a... he can still go bishop d2. I thought knight d5 will be forced in case of bishop a5. He can still go bishop d2. Or...
No, but like...
Not clear. Bishop a5, because that's a principal move.
Yes.
Yeah, in case of bishop d2, black captures on c3, bishop c3, goes queen c6, and then the pawn on e4 cannot be protected normally, right? So you have to go knight d5, where black captures with the bishop and goes, I believe, back to c4, and might be even better because knight e4 is threatening. You know, d5 is weak, like rook c5 is the idea.
Yeah, so bishop, I think knight e4 and then probably f5 is a
yeah,
real
knight
threat.
e4, f5 is like a real threat. So here,
black has
I would not be surprised if black is just better.
yeah, I think so.
So that means after bishop a5, Jan is planning for another move, which could be knight d5 here, knight c to d5, and then taking with the pawn.
So if I take with
For instance, knight takes, pawn takes, bishop d7, and well, and white is not, or yeah, white is in time. I go c3.
so I have to move back somewhere.
Talking of being in time, it's obviously about f7, f5. If black is or is not in time to go
Well,
f7,
so
f5.
what is the conclusion
So
there?
the trick is, well, as far as I can see, f5 is not possible right now because of b4, and if queen c3, there is bishop d2, right?
Well, yes, so that's the point, because after f5, b4, queen c3, if white somehow inaccurately plays rook e3, there is queen takes c1.
Yeah, queen c1, and black would have like fantastic
Yeah.
position.
But there,
Yeah, there is bishop,
bishop
d2, and
may,
then
may upset black.
white
a little.
captures the bishop on a5. So that means that after c3, b4 is the real threat. Black can't play f5, has to do something else, right? Like
Okay,
the
queen
pawn,
c7
yeah, like
or
back to f7, yeah, and queen c7, for instance, and then white at least has knight f5. And I don't know what kind of position is that one.
I think it should be equal, I think.
Because it's very similar to what Jan was doing himself with black against VE, right? Bishop takes, queen takes, and then if we imagine white playing f4, that would be something very similar to what Jan Nepomniachtchi had against VE, with a bit of a twist that this dark square bishop for black is on a5. And we'll go to b6, and that's a very nice diagonal, obviously, like a7, g1 is a very nice diagonal for the bishop.
It's much better than if it would stay on g7.
Yeah, but you mean
by the way,
it's like better version for black if the bishop is on g7.
I started to rethink, and in this exact pawn structure, obviously, I mean, like, okay, anywhere.
Rook d3 might be
a threat.
That's like rather straightforward idea, but maybe it's not that comfortable for black to actually
you mean there, yes?
fight against it. Yeah, like
okay, well,
black does
I'll try
queen
something
c4,
the most.
Queen c4, and still rook d3, right?
I'm thinking about
well, there is
g6.
g6, rook g3,
well,
king g7, and yeah, and I might be upset.
Yeah, first of all, yeah, so the h6 pawn is hanging. Okay,
yeah,
well,
king g7, yeah, and I might be upset here because d5 pawn is hanging, and
you can still like try something like
rook
this.
h8.
Yeah, but the problem is that rook h8
rook h8, yeah, I will have to go back like queen d1.
Yeah, but it's pointless.
But there is a feeling like when you start going back, then yeah, black is
never stop. Yes.
Yeah, black is just fine.
So what is the position?
Let's update and see what is the position right now. Queen f3. With Tashik is thinking. Bishop a5 is not a forced move, but white is getting ready for knight d5 or knight f5 in some cases.
Yeah, right.
So you have to do something pretty quickly. It's like b5, b4 is not such
I'm thinking about b5.
b5. Okay, so what's gonna take? Takes, a takes, yeah. Can wait one more move so that you play b4 and later on the knight goes to d5, right?
b5 is played.
b5, I guess, is played. Yeah, because here
it's kind of difficult to understand.
Yeah, here the same structure is the same structure doesn't look all that pleasant for white, right? If you try knight d5 here, black once again takes with the knight, I suppose, right? Pawn takes, bishop goes to d7. Once again, you probably have to go knight f5 just to stop f7, f5.
No, but exactly there, I just take and play queen c2.
Yeah. I cannot play knight f5, but then the whole thing is good for black, because bishop g5 as well is the idea.
Okay, let's wait for b4.
b5 takes. Yeah, perhaps. No, takes on b5 wasn't yet played, but it's an obvious move to make, I believe. Here,
I think Jan may
you always take on b5.
Find something else also.
It's really don't believe in this position. I just think you always take on b5.
Yeah, me too.
It's like to justify that you have played a4. Otherwise, it's just a waste of a tempo, right? So you take on b5 and you open the a file for your rook. Takes. Jan barely spent any time, but I'm not sure if he's like prepared up to this position.
Obviously.
It might be a sign of nervousness, so to speak. Because I remember...
I think, he's trying to ensure the opponent that he's...
Yeah, that's kind of convince his opponent that
yes, that he's a favorite.
Everything is under control, I can allow myself to play that fast. And I remember younger Jan Nepomniachtchi, when he would sometimes do this in classical games. And not always because he was very well prepared, but just like... when it works, it looks like a very good thing to do. Like, you play very fast, your opponent is at time trouble, right? But as well, you might blunder with 1 hour 30 on your clock, and then it simply looks silly. So let's see. So far, looks like a sufficient position for black, right? Not clear what white has to do. I mean, you can play bishop d2 and then after b4 just go to d5, take with the pawn, pretend nothing happened. Bishop d2, b4, go to d5, takes, right?
Or maybe there is something...
maybe you can take with the knight.
No, but...
But does it help? Yeah, it's not clear if it helps you in any way. It's like knight takes... Bishop takes, pawn takes. Yeah, we can say that black cannot capture c2, right? But maybe he doesn't need to. Bishop b6, for instance, right? Bishop b6. I think black is perfectly fine. Once again, potentially is simply better. Moving the queen, putting the bishop on c5,
is hanging and
getting the better pawn structure.
I think white has to equalize immediately somehow. I don't know
if he can. Yeah, if he can, because say exchanging the bishops, going bishop e3.
Yeah, I was thinking about like this,
queen b5,
this and somewhere like
bishop h6,
somewhat like this.
But are you sure there is a perpetual?
I'm not sure. I'm just assuming, trying to.
So, like, if black captures, check on g4, I suppose, right?
Yeah, I think so.
King goes. Queen h4. Might be a perpetual.
No, but
yes, king h7. You should have gone to h5.
Yeah,
should have gone to h5. And yeah, maybe in this case you actually do have a perpetual. I don't see how to stop it. Knight c3 to e2, played by Nepomniachtchi. So bringing the knight to g3 and trying to put it on f5.
Well,
that's the idea. And
it has some sense.
Yeah, it's not a silly idea by no means. Yeah.
If we just naturally play bishop b6, following the initial plan.
Knight g3, I guess.
And I'm trying to estimate if knight somewhat.
If knight f5 is such a
threat,
such a serious threat. Well, you can prepare, like to go king h7, I thought, but then yeah, knight f5 is still somewhat annoying. Yeah. Maybe you shouldn't put the bishop on b6. Bishop on d8 at least protects the knight on f6, right?
No, but like if I trade a pair of something, how the position will change. For example, okay, such a silly move, queen. No, but queen c6.
Queen c6 runs into knight f5 and then knight e7.
Yeah, but I saw that
knight f5.
like e4 pawn is still under
e4
control.
is hanging, yeah. Knight c3 to knight e3 to f5, for instance.
Yeah, so if I take,
knight takes, knight e7 is still a threat, right?
yeah,
so
okay, well, I'm okay with sacrificing it. But by the way, you have to do it immediately.
Yes.
And then to take there,
on c8.
I take there, c8. And I would say that I'm more or less fine. Probably I'm just better. Because c3 is
c3.
Yeah, but c3,
no,
yes,
c3.
c3 the point. Yes, I'm taking back my words.
Like really unclear position, I have to say.
I can try something like this, I think.
b4, so strangely black is not interested in taking on f3 because then the doubled pawns protect white, like cover the square on e4. This is what important, I believe, right?
Yeah, well, but I started to rethink.
Yeah, so d6 is hanging, bishop e3 is yeah, perhaps white is fine.
So knight g3. Let's try to find even a single idea for black. How to improve their position coordinately.
Rook somewhere.
Maybe just Jan found a very
maybe
strong
that's
solution.
maybe that's an unpleasant maneuver, knight e2 and knight g3.
And it just estimates the drawbacks of b7, b5. Well, but
on the other hand,
can he do the same even if we played bishop a5 immediately? Like
after bishop a5, yeah, because we were looking at knight d5, knight e2 might have
with
been
the same ideas.
as strong, if not stronger, in this case. Yeah. Because once again, somewhere you will have c3 before, and knight comes to g3.
I think the point that we have to play rook f8 was a very natural idea to play d5, but I'm not sure if it works well there exactly. So like knight eg3. Just
perhaps, yeah, and then d5.
Yeah, then d5.
And the question is if all that works for black. Looks like it does. Yeah, looks like it does because, and once again, if this works, that means not that black is equalizing, but black is immediately better.
Yeah.
Because white takes enormous strategic risk by leaving the bishop on c1, rook on a1. If something happens in the center like d5,
they would be just
black would black would be just much better. Anyhow, that's the current position. So b5 takes, knight to e2 was played, bishop b6, and I suppose knight g3. I'm not sure. I can see Wojtaszek is thinking. So knight g3 was played, right? So the question now, d5 is not yet possible.
Yes.
Rook f to d8 is a bit too late, right? Because, or it's hard to say once again. Knight to f5, and then some threats. Knight e7 is kind of first threat, right? But knight takes h6 as well. Knight takes h6 as well.
Well, knight f5, I play d5 because I think that even if you play knight h6, I'll have an opportunity to.
Well, but if I just take on d5, e takes, yes.
So you mean like knight e7?
Take everything, knight e7 in the end.
And if I play, for example,
knight takes, knight takes.
So it is just the same, right?
Yeah. Don't see why it has to be different.
No, but wait.
Yeah, let's show first of all. Let's show to all of our spectators. Knight takes, yes.
Rook takes.
Rook takes.
Bishop takes.
You mean like if queen takes, it's queen f2 check, and then queen takes f5.
But at some point, maybe you had some bishop e3 intermediate.
Yeah, knight takes, rook takes. Maybe here I go bishop e3.
But then I take on
rook on d1, rook on d1, and then knight e7 is something to watch out for.
And also bishop.
Yeah, bishop b6 followed by knight e7. Maybe you don't have the square here.
Yeah, so this is just
queen
just lost. Yeah.
Yeah, if queen c7, that bishop b6 comes with a tempo. Yeah, and knight e7.
But
wins the game for white.
Maybe I can find the proper square. No, but
hard to imagine.
I don't see any.
Hard to imagine, like queen c2, just a check on e7.
Yeah, you can just check it. Or
well, some position exchange down you can try to play after king h7, for instance. Knight takes c8. I know.
The problem that you can take a bishop.
I can take on b6, and it's not an exchange down, but a piece down, and with no obvious compensation. Rook to a8 was played. Rook takes. So white does solve the issue of his undeveloped pieces by simply trading on a8. Now one of the knights to f5 looks, of course, like a critical move.
You know, I wanted to tell just before this game that still even Jan managed to escape. I would say escape, survive in game 1. Still, it remains very tricky because you have to be careful and still being concentrated, because at some point you may feel yourself as a almost as a finalist, because escaping this kind of position means that
it puts you in such a tricky situation. So you feel, well, technically you are a favorite, like psychologically you are a favorite after such game as game 1 when he was lost and escaped. But at the same time it might play tricks with your mind. You would think, oh well, so the job is done. I saved game 1, so why we are here? Let's play something. Let's go to a final. C3.
And I'm not sure that Jan really had to trade rooks. I mean, in this.
After rook a8, what do you do?
In this exact way, but
so you don't go rook b1, right?
I mean, maybe bishop
bishop to d2, so that if black takes, you take with the rook.
I mean, at least we are not giving up the file.
But maybe black will be in time with d5. Let's see what he does. So he has taken on a8 and
played bishop
c3.
Yeah, c3.
So he doesn't want this pawn to be taken when he goes knight f5.
There might be some point in... I mean, there might be something if b4, otherwise...
b4 looks like a natural response, I agree. So... now perhaps he has to go knight f5, right? And maybe e... so that to have bishop e3, very next move.
So if I take on c3...
if takes... wondering if I want... No, okay, let's not complicate things. Let's just take back on c3. Pawn takes.
I mean, I wouldn't consider this position as better for white. Maybe it's just tactically okay.
Who knows? Because some stuff is hanging. Bishop e3, knight h6. Could be... I mean, knight g7 is hardly a threat, right? Knight g7, king... I mean, first of all, it's not clear what black does, once again. In case of rook d8, white simply captures the pawn on h6 with the knight. I think this, something like that. Rook d8, protecting d6, then this is always an issue. If you take queen f6. Oops, not f5, but f6, White is much better, obviously. Okay, so that's the current position. c3. He can try to go bishop b3, to disturb the rook a little, because it feels like rook will have to leave to e1 or possibly even f1, just to make sure that f2 is protected. But then, it's like you leave the d file in.
But we are leaving the f5 square at the same time.
But at the same time, bishop is no longer controlling f5. A couple of moves more.
By the way, what is the time? I mean, what's going on the clock?
That's an interesting question. I wanted to say that in a couple of moves everything is going to be clarified, because if white gets to play knight f5 and black has to make a defensive move like knight e8, for example, which by the way parais both threats. The pawn on d6 is getting protection, and the knight leaves from f6, so it's not hanging anymore in case of various captures. But still, if you have to make a move like knight e8, I believe white should be better.
I think so.
Then he is getting access to d5 square. So it's really
instead of knight e8.
Really, next move is like crucial. Next couple of moves will be crucial for the evaluation of this.
Why we didn't consider this kind of moves like rook a1?
Rook a1, it is an annoying. Usually, it is a very annoying pin, right? And h3. I'm not quite sure what white is supposed to do. Well, let me play knight f5 nevertheless.
Knight G or E again?
Any. I believe it will
okay,
break down to the same. Yeah, knight E to f5, for instance. Because bishop e3 is the threat. If you go bishop b3, I don't know what happens. Maybe just rook e1. Bishop to b3, so that the bishop from c1 is not moving.
But the problem that... No, it's not a problem. I was trying
you
to
thought knight h6.
Yes, some crazy variations, but
this line doesn't work. We can show it. Knight h6, pawn takes, queen f6, bishop d1, bishop h6.
I think that
almost made.
Queen f2 more so. I mean, initially playing queen f2, and then bishop f2, king f2, and then bishop takes d1, which is maybe the simplest.
That's fine. Yeah,
but instead of bishop d1, just
here you can go bishop e3. And it is tricky.
Okay, well,
it is tricky.
But it might be winning.
Okay, this line doesn't work. Rook a1 then does look like a serious option to restrict white's active possibilities. In case of knight ef5, indeed, to go bishop b3, I suppose white will have to go rook f1 or e1. Maybe f1 is good enough.
Correct.
So that bishop c4.
Yeah, and
still there. So
bishop c4 may lead to another tiebreak, I think.
Yeah, bishop c4, rook d1, bishop b3, and we are up to see the first time for the first time, by the way, like in this tournament.
10 plus 10.
It might be 10 plus 10. Yeah, so far, strangely enough, we were criticizing Jan for somewhat weird maneuvering, but now I believe he is the one who is looking to, to continue this game if some sort of a repetition will be on the board. I believe white has all the reasons to try to decline it.
Yeah, I mean, but
yes,
players of this level have just an exceptional level of understanding.
You mean like feeling? Yeah.
Well, maybe so. Like we were a bit worried, for example, in this position after we saw that bishop d8 and bishop a5 just leads to a normal game for black. Okay, well, I can't say a word.
Yeah, but queen e2, queen f3, knight e2 is like very nice maneuver. Because your first reaction is, I have to develop. That's what you told from the childhood. Like, I have to develop my pieces. We were trying bishop d2 and then sometimes bishop e1.
Rook a1 is played.
Rook a1 is played. c3 and rook a1. Yeah, and then you understand that in this position, your bishop from c1 on c1 is already developed. Because in any line that we were looking at, it was playing its role exactly from c1 or going to e3. Right. And your rook on a file is getting traded, so you don't have to bother moving the bishop to d2. Knight e to f5 is played.
And Jan decided to leave the playing hall.
That's what he's doing. Okay, I mean, he's not allowed to leave the playing venue, but
he can leave the board.
Standing up from the game, stood up from the board.
And that's some kind of psychological trick.
That's a bit of a pressure on your opponent, because
you're ensuring that your position is better.
My position is so comfortable so that I can walk, I can maybe have a cup of coffee or anything. And then your opponent in such cases tend to spend a little bit more time than usual, right? I mean, you stood up from the board, so nothing disturbs him, so he can quietly slip, and it's not so much time left for Radoslav Wojtaszek. I believe he's below 10 minutes already.
Maybe below 8 minutes, I think.
Yeah, from how
7:30
it looks now, it does look like 7 minutes something is left for Radoslav Wojtaszek, which is not so much in this complicated position. So we might see, a time trouble in which,
again,
of course, it's easy to...
The fourth line. So d5 is not working because of bishop
d5 here should not work, at least, the feeling is that it should not work. So rook takes d1, queen takes d1, queen goes to c7. By the way, why it doesn't work? Because now we take and then we give check first, We take on b6 and we give a check first. king f8 and then take on d5.
So knight e8 is played by Radoslav.
Knight to e8. After, yep, here it's
probably just a better position for white.
Pawn up, maybe pawn. Maybe we won't hold the pawn. Bishop takes and queen d6, yeah. And then next move queen d5. That's weird because this particular one.
I think this one is still, I mean,
queen a1
a bit tricky and can be better for white.
Ah, the fact that you
king
can't
f8
go
is
king
kind
g8.
of,
Yeah,
I can't say uses, but just a bad move in some lines.
could have gone king h7 then after knight e7 check.
Yeah,
king
you
h7.
But then
but then the knight on e7 is not hanging,
yeah.
so you take with the pawn. Yeah, that's correct.
Yeah, so by the way,
so what happens in our game? Knight e8.
Okay, one knight e5 and
knight e8. And we were claiming that this should be very unpleasant for black if he has to play such move. And now you have calm move bishop e3. So the rooks are getting traded, the bishops are getting traded, which is, I believe, in white's favor.
Yeah.
So exchanging the pair of bishops, and white still will have some tricks. Might be just better for white, yeah.
So bishop h6 is just senseless because you can take on d1 and then take on h6 and g7.
You also take on f2 intermediate.
Ah well.
Rook takes, then queen f2 check.
That's stronger. So bishop b3.
Yeah, we're thinking of king h2, but same problem. F2 is hanging.
Okay, well bishop e3.
Bishop b3. No, you have to take on d1 first. Yeah. So rook d1, queen d1, queen to c7 is the only move. Then the question how white continues here. Because you might take on b6 voluntarily. You probably take.
I have to think a bit. Maybe h4, h5 is not that bad as.
Yeah, getting the pawn on h5 is one idea.
I mean, it's not so easy to develop there with black. Maybe b4 is the main idea. Or b4 has...
Yeah, it's not clear. Once again, I mean, ideally you want to exchange your c pawn for black's b pawn, so that you have the passed pawn on b file.
That's what black can only dream about.
Yeah, and in this regard, yes, b4 is typically the move to do so. So you go b4 and then you go c4, but in this position it's not that easy to push c3, c4.
Maybe I just can take after b4, by the way, at this exact moment. I mean, just create a pawn.
Wait, b4 with... No.
I mean, yeah,
I mean, if white plays h4 and if black plays b4, yeah, you might just say...
Yeah, but the problem that also queen a4 is...
Queen a4 is here, yeah.
One of very unpleasant
So b4 is not the move you want to play.
But I'm also not sure that h4 is a kind of improvement, because at some point the h5 pawn can be hanging in some endgames. And it's like typical in Caro-Kann, while the most endgames are considered as playable for black because of the h pawn, which is like we trade some rooks, we trade a pair of minor pieces, and white has to defend their h5 pawn.
Which is, yeah, we are talking like classical Caro-Kann
like
line with bishop f5 and everything, where white
like
has this far advanced
d takes c4, knight e4, bishop f5.
Okay, but so far this is not the position which is on the board, right? Knight e8 is played. Yeah, he did go bishop e3. Rooks exchanged, queen c7.
So exactly the same position. Well, if obviously I have to take, I mean, whatever, at some point I think black will force me to take on b6. And it's not so clear what to do if I just do not simplify. I mean...
Yeah, maybe, you know what, maybe you can try to play queen d2 and wait for black to take. I don't know, maybe black will be forced to take at some point.
But I think queen d2 may create some additional options, because after bishop e3, taken with the queen, I think I can just play knight f6 and d5 probably is coming.
Yeah, but I honestly thought that you take with the knight on e3.
That's the
so maybe you don't no longer need the knight on f5.
Okay, well, but I still play knight f6. And now knight gf5 is impossible because knight takes
e4 is hanging. Yeah, you don't want to play. I mean, you probably can play f3, but it's not like this move is.
Yeah, but I think it's just normal
f3
for black.
And you go queen b6 or queen c5, preparing for d5. Yeah. Bishop takes on h6. How about that? How about
yeah, but
that?
what is the point? I mean, bishop take h6.
e8.
Yes.
Sorry, g7 square is protected, so that's.
Ah, well.
You know what?
No, okay, but check. Do we have to check?
I don't know.
I think we do.
I don't know.
I mean, yes, check.
What I can see that black could have taken on f5 before that. Yeah, after bishop h6. If black wants it, I mean, I have no idea if black wants to take it. I'm not sure what Jan is doing. This is like playing with fire. Does he have a perpetual guaranteed after that?
Okay, well, I think like king
h7,
queen
yeah. Queen h5.
Yet this position looks risky. By the way, okay, maybe it's just equal all the time. I think like
at least white has the perpetual,
yeah,
right?
I mean,
so queen h6.
It's better to start obviously with.
Are you
by the way, maybe
king h8, queen h5.
Yeah, but there is no f6 because of queen e8.
Yeah, there is no f6.
I wanted to link with the queen, but
so the knight is not taken, but it doesn't seem to make any difference. So
but I think it's better to
queen g4 check
to leave the bishop on e6.
King goes. Well, by the way, the question where the king is going is still open. King f8. Well, I just want to say there is no difference at all. f8, you know.
Yeah, because queen h5.
Queen h5, then nice queen h6. So this, he went to f8.
Either any f6. I guess no, because check and then knight h5.
We can see. We can check it. Yeah.
It should be bad.
Queen to
queen h4.
Queen to h4.
Okay, well, it's more or less the same, I think. Maybe we're capturing e7 square, which is kind of smart. Like queen cannot go to c5.
f6 here. Can we do it?
Okay, well, check.
Checks. King goes to g8.
Okay, I'll take
check
another one.
There. King goes to f8.
So it's like all the time.
White does have the perpetual, okay, but does he have more than that? Not really, I believe.
Yeah, queen h6 and
queen h6, king g8.
This game to end in a draw. Yeah, so of course I don't want to go to h8 because of. I mean, maybe I still can go there.
No, the knight is hanging on e8. No, he cannot
sorry,
do this,
obviously.
He's forced. I mean, it's like both sides are forced.
Yeah, f6 is played.
Wait, f6, queen 8.
That's correct.
f6, yeah. Queen takes h6 check. King goes to g8. Let's see. Because I have a feeling that after queen g6 and king to f8, white is not forced. What is not forced to go for a perpetual immediately. Like if you put the queen on g6, what's black's next move? Imagine I do.
I think something solidifying like queen f7 or.
Then I have a check. King goes. And maybe you're right. Maybe you're right. Because I was thinking of say playing h4 and seeing how does this unfold later. Queen g6, king f8. It's very, very likely that we will have another portion of this tiebreak going if this will end with a perpetual check. So for the first time in this tournament we will actually have 10 plus 10.
Yeah.
A rapid playoff.
The first time 6 games match.
Well, it guarantees us a minimum of 6 games match because if it's 1-1 again, then another 2 games and then possibly 1 more game.
Jan, of course, is a strong resource.
Jan, of course, can spend as much time as he wants, because, well, knowing the fact that perpetual is guaranteed. But really I find it hard to to find a way to continue for white. Knight h5, the same thing. You can go queen f7, right?
Looks like.
Knight h5. Once again, it's good that you're not asking me what the threat is, because the answer would be I don't know.
Knight f6 probably.
Yeah, knight f6. Yeah, check king. Check king g8, and then it's this rare moment when I wish h6 square would be, like available. I mean,
yeah,
let's change the rules. Let's allow to put more than one piece on the same square, so then I can go knight h6. But yeah, the queen is on the way. Queen to h5. Okay, what's that?
Okay, well, yeah, f6.
Check on h6
yeah,
was given, of course. King goes there, check here, and queen to h5. So he does threaten something. It's not yet a draw, I assume. Point being, obviously, you can't go king g8 because queen e8. So queen h8 is a threat.
So king f7.
I don't know, but yeah, if black passes, if black goes b4,
well,
for instance,
it feels like it.
Yeah, check king f7, knight h6. You will have to go to g6. Yeah, I mean it's black to move, obviously, so black will probably not allow this. But if black allows if he goes like
knight h6, I play king e7, and I just escape on d8 probably.
Ah, so you mean black can play like
I think
irrelevant
so,
move like b4?
It's not so easy to make a pass in this position with black.
Is queen f7 bad? Can you tell me? Because this is something I want to see. You have two checks, h8, h6.
I like these two. Yeah, and now we'll
king f7, and then maybe
queen somewhere back.
Yeah, but queen g6 is a threat, right? You can go queen d2 in this position, threatening knight h6, threatening. I'm not sure if knight d6 is such a threat. By the way,
queen g3 is hanging all the time.
We are getting to this position. So check on h8. Check on h6 is already on the board.
Personally, I don't like. At the first sight, I don't like the approach of Jan, because this position is completely unclear and
king
it's
f7
like almost all in. Because if
normally you don't want to increase
if black finds a good configuration, it will be just a
check on what's
h5.
That? Check on h5, allowing queen g6. It seems.
I think it's still a draw because I can play knight h6.
So that's always a perpetual, right?
King goes to h7 this way.
Yeah, you just go back to f5 with the same knight. It is a draw.
Yeah,
it is a draw. Yeah, you just go back with h6 knight.
So all the time, at least white has a draw.
Yeah, white controls the draw. Yeah, that's important.
Queen g6.
King f8. For some reason decided.
Maybe I've overlooked something after queen g6, but it doesn't look so. Maybe queen h8. But if you ask me what is the threat, I'll tell you I don't know. Okay, but maybe he just.
Okay, he went king f8. That's nothing wrong with this
obviously.
move.
Well, so
queen h5, king f8, check is on the board as well, and king f7 back. So
it has to be a draw. I mean, yeah.
Queen h5. Three minutes left for Wojtaszek. But he perfectly understands.
But, like shortening the time control means that Wojtaszek will not have an opportunity to think as long as he
does.
Yeah.
In the open, and Jan is look the time difference. So in this game, Jan is still on 10 minutes. I believe we can say that this is the end of the game. Yeah, queen h6. This will be a threefold repetition and the draw. So 10 minutes left for Jan Nepomniachtchi, only 3 left for Radoslav Wojtaszek. So now if we come to 10 plus 10, that would have been already a decisive advantage. Yeah, Jan would have won on time. So that means...
So up to now, we don't see the impact, but after shortening
the shorter the time control becomes, the yeah, obviously the chances for Jan will increase, it seems. The drawing of lots for the color in the next game, I believe it will be white for Radoslav Wojtaszek. So in 10 minutes, the tiebreak will continue. It's 2-2 overall score in this match. So 2 draws in classical games, 2 draws in 25 plus 10 games. And we will see the shorter time controls, a match of 2 games, 10 plus 10. Stay tuned, we'll be back shortly. Welcome back, everyone. Welcome back to the tiebreak day of the semi-finals. It's the first time in this tournament that the tiebreak reached this stage. 10 minutes plus 10 seconds. This will be the time control for the next two upcoming games between Jan Nepomniachtchi and Radoslav Wojtaszek. So 4 draws so far, and another attempt for Wojtaszek to win with the white pieces. So far, Nepomniachtchi's play in this tiebreak with black wasn't was anything but good. Let's put it this way.
I'm trying to recall the tiebreaks were played by Radoslav and Nepomniachtchi, and I remember a tiebreak of Jan Nepomniachtchi against some Yugoslav Grandmaster Palic in the previous World Cup, which was, I can't say quite tense, but nobody expected that Palic at least can proceed to the tiebreak against Jan Nepomniachtchi, who's like...
so it was 2 draws in the classical, and then Jan had to play a tiebreak in order to win. Yes, for Wojtaszek, as you've mentioned, the tiebreak in Isle of Man last year was the big one.
Yes, but
when he won,
I don't know if we should consider this as a tiebreak. It was just 2 blitz games and then Armageddon. Hardly we can call it tiebreak.
Okay, so one more game with, I suppose, the same opening, because last time it went no, C4 this time.
Yeah, but it can be E3 force move, I think.
It can be
no G3.
So honest stuff, real Grunfeld we are about to see here. C6 D5, the symmetrical line, where honestly I have no idea what white has. Queen to B3, Queen to B6, Knight C3, all known, Rook D8, Knight A4, I believe that was played as well.
Yeah.
And yeah, you can hardly bring any surprises in this position. I mean, like, it was throughoutly started.
Well, by the way, like, what is the exact theory? Like, Queen takes, A takes, and Knight A6, or something like this? I mean...
Takes, yeah, I mean, it's not that you'll play Queen A6 here, right? So most likely you do it. Can I go Queen A6, by the way?
Yeah, I think
I have no idea. Honestly, Queen B3, A B3 looks like this is something white wants. It might be nothing special, but still, it might be something that white wants. Jan paused here, so he's thinking, I believe...
Maybe Queen A6 I have to take on D5.
Yeah,
otherwise I don't know how to protect the C-pawn. And playing C5 obviously is in favor of black. Yeah,
you take on D5, I suppose the black simply captures back.
With the pawn?
Yeah.
Okay, so we are trying to equalize.
Queen B3 played. So he went for the line you've mentioned. Queen B3, A B3, Knight to A6, Knight goes back to C3.
And probably something like Bishop F5 there.
So it's not exactly symmetrical, right?
No.
So, well,
and this endgame is very complicated, and
it is tricky. Yeah, the point being that white has the possibility. I mean, with normal pawn structure, with pawn on A2, white would be sooner or later forced to resolve the tension, like to take on D5, most common reaction, which would lead to a symmetrical position. Here, with C-pawn being supported, he can try to keep this tension for as long as possible. Like, for instance, in case of Bishop F5, I'm wondering if he can go Knight E5, possibly threatening to sacrifice an exchange on A6.
Yeah, I think so. Why not? I mean, we should estimate the benefits and drawbacks of this pawn structure, because the benefit that the C4 pawn is already protected. Also, in some positions we have like Rook takes A6 sacrifice.
Yeah, sometimes Rook A4 they play.
But the added drawback that B4 square is no more protected, and
yeah, black can put the knight on B4. Yeah. By the way, in case of my Knight E5, I do like black's Knight B4. I'm not sure what white is supposed to do against Knight B4.
Yeah, so the problem that after Rook A4 there is always
A5.
A5,
yeah.
And Bishop C2 is...
Bishop C2 becomes a serious threat.
Okay, well, I can still play Rook A3, but I can't say that white can really pretend for something more than an equal position.
It doesn't look all that comfortable.
Yeah.
Right, so somewhat puzzling.
Knight
C7. So Jan tries to
that's
be...
something new. I didn't see this
tries
kind
to
of
be solid. Bishop
transfer.
F4 in this case, yeah.
Maybe it's just a
feels
theory.
like a knight's move. Bishop f4 with the tempo. I suppose the knight goes to e6. You might want to play, strangely enough, you might want to play knight f6 to e8 first, because in case of knight e6, bishop e5, I believe you are practically forced to exchange the bishops, right?
But maybe that's
knight f6 e8. Knight f6 to e8, so that if bishop e5, black has f6. Rook fc1 pretty quickly, so
it can be a prep.
Yeah, I believe Wojtaszek is still prepared. Somewhat awkward situation for black, right? Because now it feels like the moment to develop the bishop from c8, and it's not clear where the bishop is going. Knight c7 to e6. C takes d5 in this moment. Okay, allowing black
to take on f4.
Yeah, if he wants it to take on f4, where white,
I think it's more or less principled. And
takes, pawn takes, right? But then white gets the e5 square, right? So knight e5, for instance. White might get some pressure. Knight f4 is played. G takes. C takes d5. Knight e5 is not yet played. Yeah, it is played.
And probably just e6.
And look at the clock. 12 minutes for Wojtaszek. So, well, he started with 10. Now it's move, what? Move 16. So he not only he played all his moves at tempo, so less than 10 seconds per move.
Well, like e6?
E6 most likely.
What is the point? I mean, like, to try to play knight b5 somewhere, or... Because everything is protected.
Knight a4.
But after knight a4...
Threatening knight b6.
Maybe.
Rook b8, put the knight on c5 and try to say that, yeah, it is awkward for black. Maybe it isn't. I don't know.
So then I'm playing knight
e3.
or...
So e3, you put the knight on d6. A black knight will be very nicely placed on d6.
Yeah. I think it's just okay for black. Maybe just... Jan will try something to...
You mean even to try to play for a win? It will be really hard. So still,
because the pawn structure is...
Yeah, black is
very solid for both sides.
Yeah, black's solid, white is twice as solid with those knights on c5, e5. But we'll see. It's not necessarily knight a4 he has in mind. First of all, Jan still didn't play e6.
Maybe he's trying to understand the sequence of...
So like if you take... But do you really want to take? F takes in this case. I thought it's like... Then you are left with this c8 bishop.
You know, like I was thinking about d takes e5.
D takes might be the move as well, and then e4 and try to...
If you d4, then we'll somehow, I think...
Yeah, especially in case if black goes e6, then e4, this should be much better for white, right?
Like
Knight b5.
Okay, remains complicated, but obviously that not...
White is very likely to win this d pawn.
Yeah.
In this case. No, but why would you want to take on e5? I believe e6
Yeah, e6 is at least more flexible, because you can take on e5 almost anywhere.
So the question is, I mean, what's the alternative Jan is looking at? Bishop e6? Well, technically possible, but yeah, it's not clear if you want to do it, because then the bishop remains there, for some substantial amount of time. You can go back to f6. Yeah, no, e6 played. E6 played. So the only issue for black that we can see now is twice as little time as Wojtaszek has. So 12 minutes against 6.
But you know, like at this exact moment, Wojtaszek has started to think, while before it he was been playing. He's been playing pretty fast. But now, when the position is like seems a bit wasted, he started to think. So I don't think that this has some kind of deep preparation.
It should have been preparation. Should have been preparation.
Okay, well, you know, like 1 minute 43 seconds were spent for knight c7, played by Nippon Ishii.
Well, the other option for white, and this is a bit weird option, but anyway, knight to b5 here. You go a6, I suppose.
Well, a6.
Right? And knight to c7, just to exchange the knight and to try to get the rooks on 7th rank.
That's a good idea.
So if black, say, takes, or black
if
takes,
I
rook
take,
takes,
f6.
f6.
And now I'm going to play bishop f8 and bishop d6.
Knight will have to go back to d3, and then you're in time with bishop f8, it seems, and bishop to d6. Yeah, seems fine for black.
So well, what was the last
knight
move?
b5 was played. Jan
d7.
quickly played the bishop to d7, giving away his
like
a7 pawn.
Why not?
Can white take it?
I think no. Yeah, but the question is with what, first of all? Like,
yeah, rook a7 is not possible.
You just take
takes
on b5, sorry.
Yeah,
I mean, I was thinking about...
If I take on d7
yeah,
first, then my
d4
d4 pawn is
yeah, and at least...
Yeah, so
at least
apparently it's just...
illogical.
It's just nothing. Yeah, it might be just nothing. What you can try to do is to go to c7 nevertheless. Yeah, because this I didn't like for knight d6 reason.
Yes, and if rook c7 there might be something. Or
but even bishop e8, I mean, it's like the knight on a7 is pinned.
Wow, knight
well,
e7.
he does take on a7. Which makes me think that it's still prepared, because you do not take this pawn that quickly.
Maybe he saw that knight e7 is... I can't say more or less saw it, but he just forgot about this idea, or afterwards thought that after knight e7, knight e6, there might be something. Yeah,
there should be something, otherwise white is in trouble. Okay, well, you can go rook a3, other rook to a1, so, well, you know, to hold on this knight for a very long time. It's just that the knight is not coming back. So black, for instance, plays bishop e8.
That's the point, yeah.
Bishop e8, depriving you from the possibility to take on d7. And then, rook a1, and then e3, and somehow, very weird position, because yes, the knight on a7 cannot be won by black, but at the same time it's not moving back, but it restricts black's possibilities.
Okay, knight b5 is probably a very next move. If
knight b5, white can play knight b5, you mean?
But even after taking on e3, knight e3, rook c8 is just better for black, I think. Okay, at least, I mean, black have equalized.
Yeah, black should have enough for this pawn, which is doubled, right? Like an extra pawn white has. Knight d6, and let's see what the...
Or maybe he just planned to play knight d7 and e3.
Knight takes d7. Well, that you can do. Yeah, you can take on d7. Rook takes d7.
Yeah. So if bishop d4, there is some knight c5 at least, I think.
There is bishop d4. You're right.
Yeah, but knight c5, I think.
At c5, you take b2.
Whoa.
This will be. I believe this will be almost winning for black. I mean, probably winning. Yeah, because black wins the exchange and the pin on a file is still there.
Yeah, e3.
To e3, very solid. No rush with rook a3, rook a1. Okay, that makes sense. Bishop to e8, yes. Says no more bishops for you, sir.
Yeah, just a general move order, I think.
Yeah, bishop e8's fine, yeah, then still I find it hard to improve for black. If white keeps the position, if white, say, goes... I don't know, bishop f1 is probably the move you want to play at some point. Rook a3, and then, bishop f1 he starts with.
Maybe there is some weird plan connected with like rook db8, then bishop f8, or sorry, bishop f6, bishop d8, and so on.
So like to bring the bishop to b6.
Yeah.
But by that time, I believe white should be able to double on a file.
No, but you know, like h6 is a very smart move.
h6?
Because...
at some point g5, yeah.
Because h4 is not that you really want because of knight f5 somewhere, and pawn becomes a real target.
Weakness, yeah. Well, in fact, after h4, I believe black can think of h5.
Yes, first of all.
So to stop this pawn and then attack it with knight f5 and bishop f6. Right. And if you do not react, then g5 becomes an issue. And you did win the pawn, but your knight got stuck on a7, so it's very logical for black to open the second front.
I think
g5,
Jan has created a very nice counterplay.
Yeah, so f takes, h takes, and then one of the follow-ups could be just to switch to the king side completely, going f6 in some position, developing the bishop to g6, or b5. So this is how Wojtaszek is planning to support this knight, so simply pushing the b pawn forward.
Yeah, but well, even if you play b6, I don't see the next move with the knight on a7.
Rook to c7 then, and then the other rook to c1. Maybe that's something.
So you just don't need it.
Threatening. Yeah. Well, the knight on a7, it does its job, stopping black from exchanging the rooks on c-file. Yeah, the position is complex. I can't say that. Yeah, like any side out of danger. Yeah, well, it's very double-edged.
Well, I think there might be some simplifications for black. For example, if I take there, you take and I play knight c4 all of a sudden.
Knight c4.
Threatening to take on e5, so that's why
so
probably
if the bishop takes, pawn takes, then I can't take on c4 because bishop b5.
Yeah, well, you can, but...
yes, I would prefer to go b6 in this position, I believe.
Yeah.
Protecting the knight.
Because probably the point that after rook c4, I think we can lose the game.
Bishop b5.
Yeah, for example, even rook goes... Yeah, so there is bishop h6 idea
bishop a6,
almost all the time.
Yeah, which makes it very tricky.
Yeah. So b6 is kind of obvious.
Yeah. c4 is hanging. No bishop b5 just yet. Who knows what
rook
the
d2.
position is. Rook d2. Yes, you're right. So rook takes, you take the pawn on
yeah, might
b2,
be just better.
And you might take the b6 very next. Well, rook c8
rook
though.
c8.
Rook c8 though.
So wait.
Takes.
And maybe there is something very precise. Well, you know, like after
bishop c6, there
bishop
is check.
c6, there is check, king g7. Like you take on c6.
Pawn takes.
No, but
that's
sorry, that's
a
a draw.
draw, right?
At least I can improve. I mean, somehow.
Well, but nothing of that kind has happened. So Jan decided not to give his bishop on e5. So f6. Yeah, instead of bishop takes e5.
Yeah, f6.
f6. Knight goes back to d3, I believe. Yeah, and e5 was played. So very logical. Having a pair of bishops, opening up the position. This is what you should seek for.
Yeah, so with knight c5.
Knight c5, heading towards e6. So black can...
Not like my first intention was to play king f7, but
king f7 or
looks
bishop,
a bit awkward.
you can go bishop f7, I guess.
Bishop...
It's not clear what bishop does on e8 anymore. Bishop f7...
Well,
you know, black can... Yeah, white can play b6 then, just to support the knight. Yeah, that's a very complex position. I mean, reach with
so I mean, you can take and play f5.
Yeah, so you take, play f5, so d4 pawn is hanging. Not sure what white does in this case.
Rook a4.
Rook a4 is possibility.
It's very complex.
Bishop to f7 played. What's the time players have? I believe Jan already is down to 3 minutes.
Yeah, and well...
Wojtaszek must be on 8, 9, something. Yeah, so he didn't spend all that much time, and we all remember how he blitzed out all those moves, being on 12 minutes after 16 moves in this game. So bishop f7.
Not so clear what to do there.
Yeah, for both actually.
For both, yeah.
For both, it's a very tricky position.
I mean, but at this moment of the game, while Jan decided not to take on e5, just simply play f6, e5, he has like he knows about his like a couple of upcoming moves.
Yeah, well the
so he takes an f5. Yeah,
I think we've guessed it correctly. Yeah, so takes. Well, Wojtaszek paused a bit before taking on d4. Yeah, takes f5 played immediately. You have to open the bishop from g7.
But you know, like the problem that after rook a4. No, but I had an idea. I can't say it's a crazy one, but for example, if I play rook b8.
Okay.
So possibly you can play knight b5.
Yeah, that's what I would like to do. Knight b5.
Okay, well, I was thinking about knight c4, but it doesn't really has enough sense because okay, yeah, I'm going to take on b6.
Pawns. Yeah, you attack some pawns, and if bishop takes, pawn takes, then my d4 is hanging. Then my d4 is hanging. Then I'm.
Yeah, well, it's not hanging now, but
I'm not a very happy.
But obviously, we have some counterplay.
Very happy camper here. I can. Technically, with my knights on b5, c5, well, if we can go to this final position, I might consider sacrificing an exchange, like bishop takes, pawn takes, rook takes. In some order, yeah. I should probably start with bishop c4, of course. Yeah, bishop c4,
obviously.
d4, yeah, and then to take with the rook.
Yeah.
Because the pair of bishops is really annoying. My d4 is hanging, and doing this, I believe that at least I shouldn't be worse with white. I'm not saying that white might be better. Yeah, but b6 pawn is threatening. You know that the rooks are not all that active for the moment. Rook a4 is on the board. Looks a bit awkward this way to protect the d4 pawn, but on the other hand, yeah, bishop takes, rook takes. I mean, if this happens, hard to say.
Maybe rook d5.
Rook to d5. Yeah, I said I'm not worse, but now the question is why. Maybe I am worse, because
or maybe there is still something.
I don't see how black is planning to make progress. I don't see what white is supposed to do, to be honest. Okay, knight c4. We are heading towards this position, you know. Wait, rook b8 was not played, so something different.
But I didn't like knight c4 immediately. I can tell you why.
After rook a4, knight c4 immediately, because
I saw that b7 pawn is hanging, so that's why I wanted to first of all protect it. But
and it is hanging, and I'm actually not sure if.
So if you just simply take on c4 with the bishop, or with the rook.
That's the question. Wait, can I start with knight takes b7?
Well,
can I start with knight takes b7? Because this leads to some really messy positions. Rook b8, yeah, that was the move I was expecting, and then let me take on c4 with yeah, maybe with the rook. I actually thought with the rook and to go bishop g2, but I still can't understand what is that. Bishop g2, you take the pawn on d4. White somehow should be able to get the exchange back, but yeah, it's a total mess.
Black should be okay there.
It's a total mess. Bishop takes c4 was played without capturing on b7, so after knight c4, knight c4 he went, yeah. An immediate bishop takes c4 was played. D takes c4, knight takes b7.
Yes, I was thinking about this.
So point is that after rook b8, if it happens, then knight d6. Yeah, rook takes. Let's see what it is.
I think this
takes. Rook c1 takes on c4.
Well,
pawn up for white.
It's pawn up, but
should be closer to a draw. Black should have enough resources. Rook takes b2, right? Knight c6, for example. Trade the rooks, go something, go king e6, for instance, or f4.
Yeah, well, it has to be a draw.
Yeah, very likely to be a draw.
It's impossible to win the game with rook, knight, and the pawn. So, I mean, just I really liked your line that you proposed after taking on c4 and playing bishop g2. But it remains unclear.
Yeah,
but after playing bishop takes c4, I think the position simplifies a lot.
So what was in the game? Takes, knight b7, rook b8. This is on the board. And Wojtaszek is thinking there is a possibility to go knight c6 in this position.
No, but he decided to play knight d6,
which is d6, yeah.
The safest way.
Knight d6, rook takes.
I think it will lead to the same position.
Knight f7, king f7. Yeah.
Just I would bet on this position.
Wait a second. He can. No. Could he take on f5 this moment, or it's too risky? Because I don't see
too risky.
Yeah, I mean I don't see how the knight on a8 is lost.
Well, I mean bishop f8.
Bishop f8. You just keep everything.
Just normally. So your b2 pawn is hanging, and after rook c2, I think something bad may happen.
Too much, yeah. Yeah, I agree. The bishop has to be eliminated. The c4 pawn has to go.
Intuitively.
Yeah. So we managed to guess this line right. Rook c1 takes c4. Rook b2 was played.
Probably knight c6.
Yeah, the feeling is like you have to move this knight. Rook c7 check. Okay, that's clever because
you save the rooks.
It's very dangerous to go. I mean, it's impossible to go to 6th rank because rook a6.
Rook a6.
So you have to go back to.
Yeah, but now with
back to g8.
Does it mean that Jan is maybe in a trouble?
Well, I'm not sure.
Okay,
the question is who's attacking whom, because it's once again a pin on the a file, and if you go rook a4 to c4, right? Black does something. When you move the knight, the other rook joins to a2 or a1.
Well, yes. For example, rook e8.
Or rook e8 immediately. Yeah. Yes, rook e8 and.
So I was trying to
knight c6, and I assume it's got to be check followed by rook e2, even though rook e2 immediately might have been an idea as well.
Yes, and after knight e7 I can even play king
you go
h7.
King h7 and there is no knight takes f5 because of a check. So
well,
gets pretty double-edged, even though white is a pawn up and his rook on 7th rank
after rook c8 it's getting...
yeah, you can always go rook c8 and it will
but
be
it's a draw, yeah.
It will be just a draw. Will it though? Rook c8, yeah, perhaps
I mean, it can remain, I mean, it still can be a game, but obviously...
So at least white is not making a draw, sorry, black is not making a draw immediately after rook c8. Yeah, rook c8 played. Rook takes, knight takes. There is no rook d2, that was my point, because white has a check and then a capture on f5.
Maybe something solid.
But you have to watch out for knight e7.
Well, I wanted to play rook b7.
Rook b7, knight d6.
And
then you give a check, go f4. Or
no, but that's not what I really want, because playing f4...
Yeah, wait, after knight c8, you can go bishop king f7 played by Jan Nepomniachtchi. Wait a sec, again a check. Yeah, this is something I don't really like, because he might have blundered this one. Because now white is getting tempted to, you know, to coordinate his forces. You probably don't want to go back. Well, you actually can go back, now I realize. King f8 is possible. Because I thought you don't want to go to 6th rank, because then rook a6, the king is getting cut, and then knight d6 with a check. I mean, all this...
Maybe there's some tricky knight d6 there.
Knight d6... well... so that bishop d4, that's beautiful. If bishop d4, then white has a check, and you are forced on one of those two squares where you lose after knight f5. So either king e7 or g7 both lose to knight takes f5. So knight d6, and is there... I mean, it's very hard to believe... Yeah, knight d6, and I believe, you know, Jan just blundered this one. Because you either know that knight d6 is coming, and then you know what to do, or... That's very unpleasant move to face, because what they do? So rook a8 is still a threat.
Playing f4 means that
f4. Yeah, that's what he has to do, because the pawn was hanging.
So, but knight f5 just simply.
Knight f5, bishop f6, still alive, or f3 first.
And now like king.
Yeah, he could have played f3, but then h3, right?
Yeah.
I mean, he could include f3 threatening mate in 1, but yeah, obviously white is not falling for that, but goes h3
or maybe h4.
In this case, it might be h4. Yeah. So this f3 might be not the brightest idea.
I think it looks more or less principled. I mean, after knight f5, the only way how to play.
You have the option of going for a rook endgame, which is a draw, but on the other hand, it might seem appealing to you, like to give a check on a8, check on f5.
Yeah, but I think it's clear that white has to
with king g1
save the knight against bishop on this. No, but king g2 immediately.
King g2, and he blundered rook takes f2.
Fantastically.
Yeah, so
yeah, that's why
rook takes f2. Of course,
I didn't mention that knight f5 was also aimed with an idea not to blunder rook f2.
You protect d4.
Yeah.
So it was the same point. Black couldn't take on d4 after king g2 because. Yeah, the move Wojtaszek made, king g2, same trap, that if black takes on d4 immediately, it's check on a8. So it is a draw. Bishop d4 check, and they agree a draw immediately. Yeah, we can show the line that what could have happened. Bishop takes, king f3, and then well, more or less anything, h4, whatever you like. Yeah, h4.
Yeah, but the point that after like knight f5, bishop f6,
he could still have chances. You mean?
What about this one?
Rook b5.
Does it keep black alive?
Not that black was more. Knight d6, you're in trouble. Rook
f7. Yes, and rook f7, and probably this is just lost.
Rook f7.
Yeah, I think that was the way.
Feels that he did spoil chances
again.
Wojtaszek, once again, he had chances in another game with white. It seems, yes, this time it was the Grunfeld. Well, perhaps not the most testing line for black. So Jan, got decent contemplate doing logical things. Then I believe somewhere around very close to the finishing moves. But black misplayed something, got into trouble, but then Wojtaszek has blundered rook takes f2.
But again and again, a very strange situation appears, because if we recall the first game of the tiebreak, where Wojtaszek was, in our point of view, just winning, he wasted all of his advantage, made a draw, and then we saw that Nepomniachtchi has some kind of psychological advantage, but
never materialized. Yeah, it was just a solid game.
Yeah, Jan was trying, but sacrificed the piece, but it was nothing more than just a perpetual.
So there are like two.
What can we expect next?
Two ways to explain the dynamics of this match. So one can say Jan escapes game after game after game. So at some point, I mean, if you're not scoring, that your opponent will score. So he's going to win with white. On the other hand, we can say that Wojtaszek never faced any problems with black, and he's pressing in every white game. So still, it's anybody's match. One more game with 10 plus 10 coming in some 5 minutes. Stay tuned. We'll be back shortly. Welcome back, everyone. Game 4 of the tiebreak and game number 6 in this match between Wojtaszek and Nepomniachtchi is coming up. Another white pieces for Nepomniachtchi. So far, he wasn't all that convincing. Yeah, to remind you, first 5 games finished in a draw. Last game of rapid chess, no matter what. If one of the players wins, the match is over, so we will know the name of the finalists. If it's a draw, we will proceed to play 2 blitz games with 5+3.
But
so will it be another Sicilian, Daniel? What do you think? Well,
I think yes.
Yeah, I mean, if Jan goes e4, it's definitely a Sicilian. So simply no other option for Wojtaszek. Jan, however, can go c4, right?
For Jan, but okay. Well, we all know that neither is the opening that like Wojtaszek chooses in approximately 95% of games with black after e4. So I think it has to be Sicilian.
It
most likely,
yeah,
most likely. And now probably after the previous game where Radoslav blundered rook takes f2, he might have.
Yeah, he might lose his confidence quite a bit, right? It's not that final position was winning, but he was better. He could have tried for more, and then a simple oversight of a tactical trick, well, basically in one move. Right, so the game has started. They repeat the same line as in the previous one, with bishop b5 check, with d4, queen captures d4, well, exactly as in the game 25+10, both playing very, very quickly. Rook to c8, castle short. Well, it's getting curious who's going to deviate first.
Okay,
Knight
so
to d2.
But I think
that
Jan started with h3 immediately.
No, he went knight d2, queen c7, and then he went h3.
So it's just the same position, yeah.
And h3, right? So, well, kind of confirming that it was a part of a preparation, I believe. a4, yeah, everything that happened. a4, bishop to e7 is already played. Rook to d1, same as in the previous game. Castles, knight f1. Strange moment to pause for Nepomniachtchi because there's simply no other move, it seems. Knight f1, d5.
Wow.
d5.
So it's a probably.
So Wojtaszek deviates at the very early stage. He takes and knight e8. So simply decided to sack a pawn and to play it well. And he plays it pretty quickly. Both of them played pretty quickly. d5, so bishop d6. I believe this is the preparation of Jan Nepomniachtchi. So bishop takes, knight to d5. Then the pawn was not taken. That's the sign that both of them know what they're doing, because it's not obvious what happens after queen takes c2, right? At least not to me.
Maybe
what happens after queen takes c2?
Some straight tactics. Maybe just simply knight
b6. He can take and go rook c7. So what I thought that possibly knight e7 check here.
Yes.
When black takes, you trade the queens and then you take on d7. But that's like material equal.
But
I'm not
bishop
sure.
c5 also.
Oh, and yeah, bishop c5, rook c7. No.
Something else. It has to be something else. Okay, well, if I play.
It's really mysterious. What's that? Well, you take and go knight c3 maybe, trying to trap the rook. Queen takes, rook takes, and knight c3.
That's one of the possibilities, I think.
Yeah, because it is, the feeling is like it was all prepared. Yeah, knight c3, then next move knight e3, and black doesn't have bishop c5 because the other fella is hanging on d7.
Yep.
Right, so queen c6 was blitzed out. Jan went with knight f1 to e3. Queen c6 after knight d5. So not queen c2. Yeah. Knight f1 to e3 is played. So black has got pair of bishops, but
it looks like it was a work of the seconds during the breaks, because like after the first game, the second of, for example, Yanni Pomish and the second of Radoslav Wojtaszek, just decided to check the line that
and somehow informed the players that yeah, all right, but now it seems that Jan still knows what he's doing, while Wojtaszek, what can you explain during the break? You can say, okay, in this position you have d5, it works for you, but you're not in time to tell your player all the lines.
Obviously, but maybe...
So I can see what White is planning to do. He's planning to, well, to keep this knight on d5 for as long as possible, of course.
You know, like bishop c5?
Bishop c5.
Allow some
provoking move, because b4 is one move I'm looking at. b4, you will have to go back to d6, then White goes c4, White has won couple of tempi. Right? I mean, I don't really see any other move, because knight e7 is a terrible threat. You will have to go... Yeah, b4 was played.
Maybe it was just a blunder.
Bishop c5 might have been just not the best move
so
in this position.
I was considering bishop e6 there.
Yeah, it's like you want to move those guys. Yeah, and I thought that White actually doesn't want to play... Yeah, obviously doesn't want to play b4. He wants to play b3.
Yeah.
That was what I was thinking.
Yeah, that's right.
b3, putting the bishop on b2, potentially going c4 to support the knight on d5.
Okay, but black needs some simplifications. I mean, even taking on d5 should be under
bishop
consideration.
Takes, knight takes, but still it's not that easy to crawl out of this corner, right? It's just like knight on e8 is stuck.
Still, like queen c2 is not possible there.
Maybe it is. Now maybe it is. I don't see...
Yeah, because I thought you were planning to take with the queen.
Yeah, I can take with the queen.
And remain, but maybe in this case b3 is maybe...
Yeah, maybe b3 is not
so accurate.
Not the most accurate. Maybe I can go c... Yeah, well, c4, you do the same thing, essentially. You take on d5, where I'll probably have to take with the
There
pawn.
might be something cute, I think. Okay, well, I was thinking about bishop d2, but again,
Then again, black takes on d5. Alright, but after bishop c5, b4, it does look very attractive for White, because essentially he just won a couple of tempi in this position.
Yeah.
I don't really see any other move but to go back to d6.
Well, me too.
Right? And then White goes c4.
Yeah, of course,
c4.
C4. They need to play b5.
Supports the knight on d5, wants to play bishop b2. b5 is an idea.
c5 is a very unpleasant threat.
c5 is a very unpleasant threat. Yeah, well, actually, does black have the move after bishop d6, c4?
Probably, but okay. Well,
King
still
h8
c5
already allows c5.
Still c5 and just
followed by knight e7. That's absolutely winning position, because he takes the bishop on d7, not even an exchange.
Yeah, well, so bishop c5
was a terrible blunder.
Might be very costly.
Was a terrible blunder, and now obviously Radoslav is looking for a way back in this game, but pardon me, I don't see it. It might be too late, right? Bishop d6 played, and indeed c4.
Well, maybe there is something...
How do you stop c5?
Okay, we're thinking about b6.
Yeah, it's like b6, but once again, you are making... I mean, even if it works tactically, even if White doesn't win after, say, b5, White just plays bishop b2. He's much better. Black still didn't succeed in, untying his
the funny
pieces.
thing that, like, after b6, b5, you have to play queen b7 immediately. I mean, because taking there...
A takes, yes.
Allows me an additional option to play rook a6, and after bishop c5, something like bishop
a3.
So I'm trading the bishops.
Terrible,
b6 pawn is just false. Very.
Yeah. After bishops exchange, knight e7 as well is a threat. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's really looks really
Probably
bad.
b5,
queen b7. Queen b7. Can I go bishop a?
Yeah.
Bishop a3 and nevertheless, because takes, knight e7 is a threat, and I'm not sure if you have the
and you can't even play king h8 or king h7 because the rook is hanging. Yeah, that's the point.
That's so funny. Rook b8, for instance, like knight to e7, king h7, knight g6.
Taking a pawn?
Knight g6, attacking the rook, and then knight f8.
Yeah, okay, well,
so knight c6 wins an exchange, but knight g6 is the funny line.
Stylish.
Knight g6, you go to g8, that's the only way to save this rook from f8, and then knight f8 happens nevertheless. So White wins material and the game, because it's no compensation whatsoever. So no b6 and no nothing, it seems, after c4. I don't even see a move.
How Rudislav can get back into the game?
Maybe he can't. Yes, c5 is such a devastating threat. So bishop c5 was a terrible, terrible mistake on move 18. And
yeah, just allows 2 extra tempos, which I think even Black would made some normal moves. I think like b4 and c4 can be considerable.
Could have been like White's idea nevertheless, yeah, just to put the bishop on b2. Right now, of course, with 2 extra tempi, b5, bishop a3 seems to be a very, very strong idea. Yeah, could he do something? Well, not sure. Yeah, b6 seems to be like the only move, because otherwise c5 is very strong, right? So one more time, b5, if queen goes to b7, we set bishop a3. Could it be some move here? Not really, because knight e7 is a threat, or just a simple capture on d6 and then knight moves from d5. So both.
I think it's a bit sadly, but probably rook c5 is one of the best moves in this position.
Yeah, rook c5.
Yeah, but well, just
kinda keeps you alive, right?
Okay, not really. Just take, and even some
knight e7. Yeah, knight e7. Bishop.
By the way, I'm not sure that even I need knight e7 there.
I'm not sure if you need to take on c5, to be honest. I mean, it's not running anywhere, this rook.
Okay, unlikely. Rudislav he would rather resign than play rook c5 in this position. Yes, but otherwise, after bishop e3, and I mean, it's such, I can't say natural to trade this black squared bishops. Even there have been no threats at all after bishop e3, queen e3. Just imagine. Still, bishop e3 is move.
Yeah,
with
move
a plan.
To consider, definitely, because you're getting access to some dark squares, right? I mean, as long as black is not putting the knight on c5.
Yeah, obviously.
Yeah, and the knight on e8 is, yes, a very, very strange sequence of events. First of all, why to play d5 if previous game was fine for you, right? Then, if you do play d5, then perhaps you have to know it, and then if it's clear that you do not know it, spend a bit more time and not fall for bishop c5. Because he has spent 2 minutes on bishop c5, and then now he can spend like nearly all of his time, because I don't really believe this position is possible to save.
Right.
So what can I say? Dramatic tiebreak. Radoslav kept missing his chances in games 1 and 3 with the white pieces, or 3 and 5 accordingly if you count the classical part. b6,
b5,
b5 played quickly. Yeah, I mean, in these positions, you know, Jan is especially strong in this kind of positions.
I think as well as we.
Yeah, that's a fair chance that our chess level would be enough to convert this one, even against one of the Grand Prix players. b5, yeah, really, it's hard to say what would be the best chance. There is simply no chance whatsoever.
Yeah, okay, well, queen b7 is just...
Yeah, I'm trying to...
And only reply.
Trying to find trying to find some position where... What?
a5? I mean...
a5, you know, it makes sense because black can't take, you go c5. But what about b5, bishop a3? That's a really, really serious question I'm asking there.
a5 is just another... I mean,
maybe this is another winning line.
As good as well.
Okay, black goes e4, starts to give up material.
Okay, what if I simply take?
Yeah, don't see the reason. Don't see the reason not to take on e4. What happens then? Yeah, I mean,
yeah, but maybe just a5 is another good move.
Maybe a5 is just another way to win this one. So e4, Jan is thinking, what happens if white takes? Could it be like f5, f4? I mean, some desperate try to, you know, to I don't know, to do what? To just to attack the pieces, to hope it will all of a sudden work somehow. And we do understand that this position is terrible for black, right?
Yeah, obviously. Yeah, but you know, if f5 is... I can't say it's a real chance, but still...
It's like black is still fighting, we can say.
I mean, it's still threatening something.
So, for instance, knight e7, bishop takes, queen takes, black plays rook f7, says it's only a pawn, right? Only a pawn down.
And then I play f4 and also maybe, c4 is hanging.
Maybe something can
So
happen.
I think e4 is just...
but he has to take, right?
No, but maybe there is something like queen d4 instead of queen e4. With some...
But
keeping the pressure.
It's a little bit longer threat. So what do you want?
I want to take on b6 simply.
Possibly with the knight, right? If black doesn't react. So if black captures...
Or even with a pawn.
Yeah, if black captures on a5, it's always c5 and the game is over. Yeah. Once again, the bishop cannot leave because of knight e7. It's a double attack. Or
yes, maybe queen d4 is...
Triple.
Might be enough.
Queen d4. Yep. Just not to allow f5 with the tempo. So now, if f5 happens nevertheless, what white is supposed to do?
Okay, so I take with the knight, I suppose.
You take with the knight and then c5 is still a threat. Bishop e6, okay, so not f5 but bishop e6.
Yeah, but there are no threats. I can take even with the pawn. Yes, but
I mean, when you take with the pawn, you are no longer winning a piece. At least knight b6, black does something and says, "Okay, let's play."
Okay, but the only sense of bishop e6 is if white takes with the knight, there is rook g8, and black suddenly is still alive. I mean, of course, it's just the worst position, but like
back to d5, perhaps, right?
Yeah, or maybe knight e or
knight e d5 could be a move.
I wouldn't consider knight b6 as a top choice. I would take, I think, yeah, but still, why not with no pawn?
What happens if pawn takes? And that's precisely the question Jan is asking. A takes b6 played.
So c5 is coming
bishop takes
all the way.
Bishop takes d5 is what you have to do. Not that I'm doing this happily, but at least if the knight takes, bishop
but
d5
I think even queen d5 is well, queen d5 I have to take with the rook. I mean, I think queen d5 is somewhat very technical.
Yeah, so anything should win in such position, right? Maybe bishop b4.
No, but bishop b4, I think I have b7.
You have b7, yeah,
yes,
that's
another
right.
queen d5 I just take there.
C takes b, b takes c8 queen. Okay, queen d5, so black will have to exchange the queens, after which it's once again anything is winning. If you like, you can take with the knight, right? Queen takes, and then take with the knight.
I think even pawn takes d5 wins the game.
It will be like a pawn up at least.
Yeah. So then knight f5 is coming just.
And those are dangerous positions where everything is winning because or rather dangerous way of thinking when you start to think, well, my position is so good. Is there any way I'm not winning? Because usually you tend to find this way, and for some mysterious reason you choose to play it. Yeah. So the better way of thinking, I would say, is to find the most precise. The most precise is my advantage is biggest
queen
and
takes.
perhaps safest. That's the other keyword.
That's what
the other keyword
Jan actually did. Queen d5, the
other
safest.
Keyword, the safest.
So queen takes.
Queen takes, then
and then again.
The question: what kind of passed pawns do you want? Do you want two connected passed pawns? Do you want to take with the knight so that rook c4, bishop e3? I believe b pawn simply.
I think he'll take with rook, because at least after bishop b4 we have rook a6.
Rook a6, and rook comes back
controlling.
Rook to b5,
b5, b7, everything. Just simply winning position.
That's absolutely winning. And as well, I just realized that I have bishop a3 later on to exchange the bishop, so that c pawn is.
Everything is winning there.
Absolutely no chance whatsoever.
So it looks like this game will.
And this is a remarkable
very,
moment. So he paused right there after queen takes d5. Here. So that's an indication of how serious, how determined Jan Nepomniachtchi is in this game. When he feels that this final of Moscow Grand Prix is like,
very,
is
very
that
close.
Yeah. So rook takes, bishop takes b4, and then you shouldn't be looking for anything better than rook a6 because it is winning practically on a spot.
By the way, can I play knight d6?
Knight d6.
Okay, I'm trying to.
Possible.
Even if I can, the evaluation of position doesn't change.
So you're trying to provoke me into rook takes d6 and b7,
yes.
And then to try to say that.
And you know,
black might have chances.
Yeah, obviously.
Black might have chances. Rook b8, rook takes d6.
Yeah, so that's a kind of a trap.
Rook takes d6, rook takes b7, and yes, white objectively is winning in this position, but still the game continues.
Okay, let's find
the way
cleanest
where
path.
where there won't be a game.
By the way, you can start with b7.
b7, knight takes, rook b4 wins a piece.
Yeah, rook b6 or rook b5.
Rook b5, knight c5.
Rook b5, knight c5, rook
and
b6.
if rook b6, it's a piece up.
Yeah, but not b7.
b7, rook b8, and you can still try to say, no, you're not winning immediately.
Okay, well, how to win it immediately?
It's sort of tricky. Obviously, rook takes d6 is winning. Once again, if I do go b7, rook b8.
Like,
right?
do we have something additional?
So knight b7, we agreed that rook b6 is winning, attacking both the knight and the bishop. Rook b8 might be still rook b6.
Yes, I was also thinking about it.
Rook b6, and then if the rook takes.
Okay, well, rook d6 or
many things. You can take and rook b5, but this one is like even funnier, taking on b6 and then the rook is going. Knight d6 is played, by the way. Anyhow, seems to be like the trickiest move. Knight d6. So it's up to Jan to b7's on the board. Knight takes b7, rook b6.
Yeah, but he decided to take with the knight while rook b8 was. Okay, I can't say.
That's the same as
more,
the same, yeah.
More tense, but.
b7, knight takes, rook b6.
Okay, well, he can continue with bishop c5 and take in this.
Bishop c5 and take on e3.
The c pawn,
but this is not the position you save. This is
just lost.
Not the position you save. It's absolutely winning for white. Well, a dramatic tiebreak, and Radoslav Wojtaszek resigns immediately. So after he's losing a piece on move 28. So not an easy, but a victory for Jan Nepomniachtchi, and I know who's going to be the winner of the Moscow Grand Prix. It will be the player from Russia.
Chess player.
Yeah, so Russian final, Alexander Grishuk, who has won his semi-final yesterday, overtaking Hikaru Nakamura, and this gentleman who played the last game with the white pieces, Jan Nepomniachtchi, who has won a tiebreak against Radoslav Wojtaszek. Wojtaszek, by the way, gets some ELO points in this tournament, winning
and some Grand Prix points.
Some Grand Prix points
which
as well for the semi-final.
More important, I think.
For the semi-final, but as well, his result is one of the best in the tournaments.
Yes, so he didn't lose even a single classical game.
Didn't lose it. In terms of classical games, his result is one of the best in the tournament.
Yeah.
So he's on +2, same as the finalist Grishuk.
Well, right.
It's a good performance from Radek, but it felt during this tiebreak match that he was tired, he was somewhat out of shape.
Today the value of the mistakes was higher than usual, and
so eventually with 10+10, Jan Nepomniachtchi wins the game, and first victory was enough to clinch the match. So we are getting ready for an interview with the players. I believe we will finish the broadcast with this interview, and make sure not to come back tomorrow, because tomorrow is a free day. Luckily for us, we were hoping, let me be honest, I was hoping that one of the days somehow by a mystery there will be no tiebreaks. Never happened. Well, there is still a hope for the final. So tomorrow is the only official free day, and the day after tomorrow all the fun starts. A match of two classical games between Grishuk and Nepomniachtchi. We can already see the players' roster. So Alexander Grishuk will face Jan Nepomniachtchi in the final of Moscow Grand Prix 2019. So this will be
very interesting.
It will be a very interesting match. The way Grishuk is playing, I really like his performance here, but at the same time Jan is somewhat unpredictable, so he can sometimes
he can save just the worst position.
So I believe we are ready for an interview, and before this interview we'll say bye-bye, so we are not coming back on air. Thanks for watching us. Please make sure to give respect to the players listening to the interview. We'll be back in this studio the day after tomorrow, same 3 p.m. Moscow time, for the final of Moscow Grand Prix.
And so we're here with Jan Nepomniachtchi and Radoslav Vaitashik, and the Russian Grandmaster won this match. So Jan, it was a very hard playoff, so please tell us the key moments of it.
Well, it was extremely tense, and obviously I was struggling with black, especially because somehow I got surprised both times in the opening, and I was trying to surprise on my own with white, but I think I was very lucky in the first game, because this was more or less lost, I believe, at some point. And I couldn't see the way I'm losing, because I found this exchange sacrifice, and I thought, maybe it's not that bad. But actually the end game, I think, is very poor for black, and maybe the best I should hope for is like 3-on-2 and rook and bishop against rook. And maybe there's few chances here, to save the game, but I wasn't too optimistic, but somehow I managed to escape. And then, back to the second black game. Also, I think I was in some sort of trouble. I don't think it was something very special for white, but at some point, the knight is very tricky in the end. And if not king g2, even there, a lot of play, a lot of work to do to defend this. But I managed to survive, and in the last game I was extremely lucky, because Radoslav played a nice idea, but probably he didn't know what's the next few moves, which are pretty necessary for black. And somehow after bishop c5, bishop c5 is like blundering a queen or something, because after b4 and c4, I think there is no way to escape for black, because knight e7 is a triple fork, and you don't have time, and also d file and so on. So, I got very lucky with my black games, and this game was also some sort of luck.
Thank you. And Radek, what do you think was the reason of your losing this match?
Yeah, I had some. I should probably convert the first game especially, and if you don't do it, then normally it will go against you. I think it was purely about my skills. If I would have if I would be stronger, obviously I would win the first game, and then to play bishop c5 it shouldn't have happened, of course. But if there are nerves, then such mistakes, after all, happen sometimes, obviously. Yeah, but obviously I'm quite upset about what happened. But on the other hand, the whole stay here was fantastic, and I will also have some good memories from here, obviously.
Thank you very much. And Jan, you're going to play Alexander Grishuk in final. So what do you expect from this match?
To be honest, the most thing I expect is some press conference from Alexander after the game. Yes. So just to stay near him is already a honor for me.
Like for all of us. Yes, thank you. And Radoslav, so what are your next plans after this event?
Well, probably I will have some rest, and then I will play in Dortmund in July.
Thank you very much, and good luck to both of you.
Thank you.